Well, good morning and welcome to day 3 of this Rothesay County Championship match between Durham and Sussex at Banks Homes Riverside. Durham will resume this morning 249 for 5, a late blow struck by Gurinder Sandhu last night as he got Colin Ackerman to feather an inside edge onto his stumps. After a day that started with Sussex adding on an extra 40-odd runs to their overnight total, bowled out eventually for 361, Delle with 4 for just falling short of that maiden 5-wicket bag that he would have wanted. And then Durham got to work, although maybe slightly slower than maybe a few of us were anticipating. Alex Lees and Amelia Gay saw them through to lunch unscathed, but Lees fell to the first ball he faced after the break from Finn Hudson-Prentice, edging one through to John Simpson. Will Rhodes back in the squad and jumped up to number 3 where he batted for Warwickshire, got a start but then got out. And that was kind of the theme really for the Durham batters yesterday, just getting a start and not really able to kick on. Rhodes falling for 24, a cheap chip shot to Dan Hughes at mid-wicket. Jofra Archer, the much talked about return, he picked up. Amelia Gay, LBW for 37. That brought Ollie Robinson to the crease, who showed a little bit more intent to score from the very first ball, try to put the pressure back on the bowlers. But again, once he got a start, he feathered one down the leg side, and John Simpson took a very good catch. Colin Ackerman went to his 10th first-class 50 in Durham colours, but as I mentioned, he fell last ball of the day yesterday after Sussex took the new ball, where maybe a few were expecting them to just see it through and take it this morning. They took the risk and they got their reward for it. And so that means Graeme Clark is the batter at the non-strikers end. He's currently 46 from 85. And as you can see, he's going to be joined by Durham's other Dutchman, Delle, making his first appearance of the season full of confidence after that 4-wicket haul. And Durham still trail by 112. This morning, dark, overcast clouds cover the ground, was something we got used to saying over the first 2 days, but we'll see if the weather will play ball for us. And I'm joined this morning by Toby Reynolds, making his first appearance of the season on Durham's channels. Good morning to you, Toby.
Yeah, happy to be here. Looking forward to what will hopefully be a good couple days play here at Chesley Street, with Durham in a good position, but we'll be looking to push on. We heard Coach and Sam Connors as well over the last couple of days speaking on the channels about trying to bat deep, bat once, and try and bat Sussex out of the game. And as you mentioned, it will be Graeme Clark and Delle looking to do that early today.
Yeah. Delle's going to have strike first up due to that wicket falling last night. Got 5 balls left of Sandhu's 15th over. Immediately on the line in length. Sussex packing that slip cordon once again. James Coles at first slip. Tom Clark at second. Former Red Bull captain Tom Haynes at third. Finn Hudson-Prentice backward point. Ollie Robinson and Jofra Archer mid on, mid off. Jack Carson in the covers. Dan Hughes in at mid-wicket, and that would leave Dan Ibrahim riding the boundary in front of the Daffabet stand at long leg. That's the field Sussex are going with early this morning. And Sandhu oversteps, and with that, Durham will pick up their first batting bonus point of the innings. 300 should be achievable from this position. Still got a decent amount of time to get to that 300 score, just under 30 overs to do so, but we'd have to wait and see if 350 is potentially an equation. Would require some big acceleration from presumably Graeme Clark, as he's the settled batter. Delle just prods into the offside.
Yeah, been a good start so far from Sandhu. Found his rhythm immediately after picking up the wicket with that last ball of the day's play yesterday. The overseas pro here for Sussex, one of two, his Aussie compatriot Dan Hughes as well in there at mid-wicket at the moment.
Nice looking shot from Delle, but half stopped in the follow-through.
Yeah, use of feet there from Delle, looking to try and come down towards Sandhu. Maybe put a bit of pressure back on the seamer and as you've already mentioned today, Rob, try and increase the scoring a little bit and push on to that 300, maybe 350 if they can really get going.
The first scoring runs off the bat for Durham this morning. It's a comfortable pair for Delle. Ollie Robinson running and doing the fielding in front of us. We'll wait and see who opens up this morning from the Lumley end. Sandhu was mainly trusted with that to start the Sussex innings yesterday, and Robinson came from the Finkel end. See who Skipper Simpson will turn to after this ball. That is an absolute peach to end the first over of day 3. Just the 2 runs off the bat and the no ball as well. Durham 253 for 5.
Yeah, what a way to finish that over. You could hear a big appeal from 1 or 2 in the slips, but Sandhu, I think, knowing that there wasn't the faintest of edges that he would have been hoping for. But Durham get through that first over, first 5 balls unscathed, and it will be Ollie Robinson to come in from the other end now. Would have been interesting perhaps to see Jofra. He didn't take the new ball, or the first new ball, earlier in the innings. It was Robinson and Sandhu, but we know how dangerous Archer can be. Just getting back into first-class cricket, first game in 4 years, 4 long years. Since he's been struggling with a lot of injuries. Robinson trundling in now. Full and straight and challenging Clark straight away. Attacking the stumps.
Yeah, I spoke to Ryan Campbell last night, and he expressed maybe a little bit of disappointment that Durham didn't manage to push the score on as quickly as he was envisioning. I think he used the words, they went into their shells a little bit too much. So we'll see if that has had any impact, but he did also say the game was quite nicely set up. So we'll see if it's probably going to be a bit more of a watchful start. As you said, the 250 up already. Should be comfortable enough to get to 300. But the bat once bat long will require Durham to be batting for most of today. Remember the game against Notts here where they conceded 400 on first innings, then proceeded to rack up a club record of 660 odd before forcing a result on the final hour of day 4.
Went to the inside half of the bat there of Graeme Clark, but he escapes that time with Robinson similarly to Sandhu starting in brilliant fashion so far today. It will be interesting to see how, with the new ball having been taken late on yesterday, how they can progress through the lower order of Durham here, Sussex, or whether the harder Kookaburra might offer a bit more opportunity, scoring opportunity for Durham. That's down the leg side, tick it away nicely, fine, and that's going to be the first boundary of the day. Lovely shot there for Clark.
Brings up his 50 as well. Much needed. 9 fours for the Cumbrian. Durham's leading run scorer in the county championship this year. Mentioned that lower middle order. He is a crucial part of it. It's a strong lower middle order as well, and Clark making good use of the pitch. Second Durham batter to get to 50. No doubt he's got eyes on an even bigger score.
Robinson in again now. Left alone by Clark this time. Happy to watch it fly past his off stump. And yeah, we could see that that's probably the first time that the Sussex, or the two opening Sussex bowlers have missed their line and length, and they were punished. Just as we were talking about the new Kookaburra ball, the hard ball that will fly away that little bit faster off the bat. That one's left alone again.
Nice zip.
Yeah, just nips off the pitch a fraction there, and Robinson perhaps not known for his express pace, but got that one to talk a little bit. That ends the over 257 for 5.
Yeah, using the height there that he has, obviously very tall bowler. You see it with Bryden Cast, when either in England or Durham colours. Those bowlers that do carry that little bit of extra height, able to just really bang down Stuart Broad for over so many years, able to get that carry through. Josh Tongue, we've seen in the test match as well, getting the carry. We are underway elsewhere around the country, bar at Bristol, Gloucestershire and Derbyshire having to wait to get underway. I think a scheduled start time of 11:30 is the go down there, but up and running everywhere else. Delle is still watchful to Sandhu. Hampshire have effectively reached parity against Essex, 295 for 4. They are Tilak Varma has gone to a century on debut for the Southampton outfit. Warwickshire 158 for 1. Tom Latham still at the crease as they look to get up to Somerset's score of 498 on first innings. Worcestershire have knocked off the deficit to Surrey on first innings, but they have lost 4 wickets in doing so. Surrey looking to force a result by the end of today, you'd think, for them. Yorkshire 159 for 3, still trailing by 328 against Nottinghamshire at Trent Bridge. Gloucestershire and Derbyshire, as mentioned, yet to get underway. Gloucestershire 62 for 1, trailing by 150 in their second innings. Lancashire have made a solid start, 128 for 1, replying to Kent's 374 at Blackpool after a bit of a massive washout on day one. Middlesex 413 all out, and Northamptonshire recovering nicely to 315 for 5. That deficit now 98 as they get back underway at Northampton. And Leicestershire are looking to pile on the runs today, 393 for 3. They are against Glamorgan, who made 353 all out. Rayan Ahmed with another century this year. I think that's his 3rd in first-class cricket, batting at number 3. Sol Budinger as well, I think a maiden first-class 100 for him, as Leicestershire look to come back up to Division 1 at the end of the year. They've put themselves in a really strong position so far. Later again, just watchful of Sandhu, wanting to get his eye in. Lewis Hill currently 69, not out from 127 for Leicestershire, who sit at the top of Division 2 by a healthy margin. They're on 142, and next closest are Derbyshire on 114. So they'll be hoping to bounce back. And of course, England underway at Headingley, trying to chase down 371. They were set by India, currently 27 without loss. Short ball. Cries a catch, but it's going to split the fielders perfectly. The two sweepers out on the leg side, and Baz Delle gets his first boundary of the morning. It's the thing with Sandhu, he's not the express pace, so while the short ball could be a good option, he just doesn't really rush the batter, and Delle is able to comfortably rock onto the back foot, despite only being out there for 10 minutes and facing 11 balls, just able to nicely split the field.
Yeah, lovely shot there from Delle. First boundary of the day, and as you say, found the gap between the two sweepers out there at deep square leg and deep fine leg.
Sandhu follows it up with a beauty. keeping the Dutchman in check. That boundary, the only runs from the over. Deficit now exactly 100 for the hosts.
Yeah, it was interesting that Sandu did look to drop one short there. It was obviously part of their plan with the two sweepers out on the boundary, but their deep square leg wasn't quite all the way out, or at least for the final delivery of the over post the force. There's definitely a ploy here from Simpson and the Sussex side to maybe try and get Delle caught down there. With Robinson and Clark on strike now, there's just the one player out on the boundary at deep fine leg. That one's targeting the stumps again from Robinson, and Clark looking to maybe squeeze through for a single, but turn down in the end. It's been a good opening 12 minutes for both sides so far. Couple boundaries for Durham, but not too many leaks for Sussex either. Been challenging the top of off as Robinson. That was driven nicely, but doesn't get a hold of it. Clark looking to try and be proactive, be positive, as we know he likes to be. But in the end, it just dribbles out into the covers. Into the hands of Jofra Archer. They are dropping a couple fielders now. You can see Jack Carson dropping out to deep backward point, and also Dan Hughes at deep backward square leg. But it's full and driven nicely. Spilled in the field from Jack Carson in the covers. Sorry, Dan Ibrahim in the covers.
It's a good half stop. It doesn't get down to that as we're racing away for 4 out to that cover boundary.
Yeah, a little bit of a double bluff, I think, there from Robinson, with dropping a couple fielders out deep square and then pitching it up instead. But they get through for the single, bringing Baz Delle back on strike. I think this is his first delivery against Robinson of the morning. That one nips away outside the off stump, beating the outside edge. Delle having a little bit of an inspection of the pitch. That's another really, really good delivery, though, from Ollie Robinson. Been very disciplined on the morning so far. Left alone by Delle, this time a bit further outside the off stump, but not tempting the Dutchman into playing a shot.
Yeah, just too wide. You're not really going to get any batter, especially when there's 3 slips waiting. You're not really going to get a batter going at that one. Really just too wide.
That one's hit there. Delle gets one into the chest. A good quick bouncer from Robinson. They might have to check. Possibly concussion. It's given us a leg by. I think it's possibly off the chest, though, so they get through for the single in the ends. That was a very sharp bouncer from Robinson. Caught Delle by surprise.
Yeah, it's just that switch up. Just keeping both batters honest. Can't just rock onto either foot. You've got to be ready to play both. And so you may not have the express pace, Robinson, but the extra bounce he will get from that height. Just gives Delle a bit of a warning. Third slip comes out for Sandu. Can't beat backward point. There's no sweeper out there on the offside. Still those two out there. They're both about 5 paces in from the boundary. Just waiting to see if Delle, if tested again with the short ball, will go for it and maybe try and get the top edge.
Solid there from the leader. Onto the front foot nicely. He's looked pretty solid so far this morning. Other than that last delivery of the last over. But he did end up playing it well, getting his hands out the way.
Yeah, still a fair bit of batting to come for Durham as well. George Giselle has made some runs this year when he's been picked. Ooh, Delle caught in two minds. Maybe a little bit of movement away from him. But yeah, Giselle's made runs when picked this year. I think, remember, start of the year, the first game against Notts, made a couple of 30-plus scores. Ben Rain was more than handy with the bat when you got him coming in at number 9 when he's been as high as 6 or 7. It's a nice boost to have. Matthew Potts as well. More than capable at keeping an end going. Again, little bit of away movement there from Sandhu. And then, yeah, Sam Connors on debut. It's probably going to be the last man in.
Yeah, averages about 10 in first-class cricket, but as you mentioned, the 3 or 4 batters above him, even as high as Baz the leader at number 7's a very comfortable all-rounder to have.
Yeah, Connors isn't being asked to make a boatload of runs here. If you're asking your number 11 to do that, then you're kind of looking at the rest of your order going, well, why didn't you do it? Maiden from Sandhu, it's 4th of the innings, 2 for 51. He currently has figures of, after finishing up his over from last night. And I just found it a bit peculiar from Durham. Kind of, there's an element, maybe they got suckered in. They were thinking Sussex were playing for the close. They went to Tom Clark and James Coles, 2 change bowlers. Then they brought Robinson and Sandhu back just before that second new ball. I think Sandhu was brought back as the second new ball was taken, but Robinson came in a little bit earlier and started carrying on the short ball stuff that Clark had done.
I was hit on the pad, could be tight. Seller appeal there from Robinson, but turned down by the umpire.
Sliding.
Yeah, looked sliding down. There was strong appeal though from Sussex. Robinson was pretty much the whole way down the pitch before he turned back to look at the umpire.
Yeah, I think maybe height as well, just doing for him. But yeah, just it was a bit peculiar about how Durham just kind of approached that last half an hour, 40 minutes last night. Just didn't really look to put many runs on the board and pick up at least the batting bonus point before close of play. Kind of seemed to just be settling in for the end of play, and then obviously Sussex struck them right where it hurt. Just kind of, yeah, just wasn't really, I don't think, what many were expecting, but as Ryan Campbell said when I chatted to him last night, game is still set up pretty nicely, knowing how his side can go through the gears, and also said that they are going to try and set the game up, but they're also just not just going to bat time either. They are going to try and move it on. But as me and Ben remarked yesterday, has also just been very disciplined bowling from Sussex. You know, Finn Hudson-Prentice barely going at 2 and over. Ollie Robinson currently going at 2.5, Sandu at 3. Archer, particularly in that second spell, was quite threatening. So that, coupled with some maybe slightly more defensive fields than that we're kind of used to seeing with this Kookaburra ball, just allowing Sussex to check the Durham progress.
Inside half the bat again there from Ollie Robinson. Still challenging Clark and Delle's defences so far this morning. Yeah, I think, as you mentioned there, Rob, the Kookaburra itself is always just a tricky one, I think, for bowlers and batters alike to try and gauge and to try and judge the best way to go about constructing innings and to go about, innings as a bowler as well, because, it gets soft very early, which means it can be a pretty unpleasant thing to bowl with. Robinson in again, and that one's past the outside edge with another really good delivery from Ollie Robinson. He's been challenging both inside and outside edge this morning. I'm talking about the difficulties of bowling with an old Kookaburra. The new one, very much the opposite. If you can get early wickets while it's still hard and while it's new and still swinging about and seaming about, you put your side in a much, much stronger position. Robinson in again. Onto the pads again and just pushed into the leg side by Clark to end the over. It's Robinson's 16th over of the innings now. Another maiden comes with that. And 2-6-3 for 5 Durham. Other than a couple boundaries so far this morning, have struggled a little bit to rotate the strike and to increase the scoring. But have been very, very watchful with it.
Yeah, and Sussex will be well aware that they have to make the use of this new Kookaburra for the next 2 to 5 overs, really, is when it kind of, once it reaches that 15 over mark, that's when it really just stops moving and does become easier to score. So they'll know that, similar to what Durham did on day one, there wasn't very many balls that Sussex openers and top order batters could leave. They were being forced to play, and seen already that they've drawn a few play and misses. So really concerted plan from John Simpson to just carry on from last night, really not let Durham get any sniff of getting ahead of themselves. Looks like got Amelia Gay walking with Graham Onions down to our left-hand side, going for a net.
Yeah, the sole victim of Jofra Archer in the game today. Trapped LBW yesterday. Second wicket to fall for Durham. We've seen a lot of contributions from the order so far, but no one's gone big yet.
Finds the outside edge, but straight to backward point again. Yeah, Emilio just moving up one to his more recognised spot as opener due to, as you mentioned, Ben McKinney missing out with some concussion symptoms. Still no official word yet on how he's feeling. I think the protocol is once you start not displaying symptoms, you've got to go 7 consecutive days without showing in order to be cleared. So overstepped again, Sandu, but that was a really good delivery, zinging past Dele's outside edge, as you can see Emilio and Graham Onions. So potentially a longer stay at the top of the order as Durham will travel down to London to play Surrey starting on Sunday. So potentially one more game for Emilio as opening would also potentially give Will Rhodes another opportunity at number 3. That's loose, and that's going to be 4. Just undoing all the good work he'd done so far on that over Sandu in the last 2 deliveries. Overstepping, and then a loose one fizzed in on middle leg, and Baz Deleda's not going to miss out.
Yeah, you can see Sandu throwing his head back in disappointment there. This morning, he's been disciplined. Ollie Robinson's been disciplined. They've really not let Durham just get back underway and have any easy runs, but that's probably been one of the couple easy outs we've seen so far. Probably just the 2 easy boundaries. We saw similarly another one tickled off the pads a few overs prior by Graeme Clark to get to his boundary.
Short and pulled a couple of bounces out to sweep on the leg side. At the end of the over, we'll bring in the man, the myth, the legend, Victor Demain, who's waited a bit longer than normal to grace us with his presence in the commentary box. Normally he's a fixture after lunch on day 1, but I don't know, maybe he just doesn't like the sound of my voice for some reason.
Not sure about a myth and certainly no legend. But good morning.
Morning, Vic. I thought I might miss you because, as Rob said, you're normally day 1. But I'm getting to see you on day 3, luckily, instead, as are the viewers.
Yeah, I think we need to let the game progress a bit before
Absolute peach to end. 270 for 5.
Interesting, isn't it? Interesting game.
Is indeed. I spoke to you start of, just before play on day 2. You were quite happy with how it played on day 1. Wickets for the bowlers, but there was still something there for the batters. Saw Hughes make 60 odd, and obviously James Cole was with that unbeaten century.
Yeah, I think 300 in the day, 9 wickets was it. I think as a groundsman you've got to be pretty happy with that. The game's fairly set up from there. A little bit disappointing yesterday. It was a bit turgid watching yesterday. Nothing seemed to be happening for long periods of the game. But it's building a position. There's still a long way to go.
Robinson to continue here and gets the leader onto the front foot with a few semi-appeals, but I think an inside edge, the only thing that perhaps saves the leader there.
Yeah, inside edge onto pad.
Yes, I assume it's a tricky one though, Vic, because obviously with this being a Kookaburra game, there's only a couple every year. I think it's 4 this year, all in the middle of the summer. We've seen in previous years they've had them earlier on in September and April, sort of at either end of the summer. It must be quite a challenging one to almost try and gauge what the pitch needs. Robinson in again. Onto the front foot again from Delle, this time more solid in defence and pushes it out to backward point.
Yeah, I think the plan with the Kookaburra has always been to test it throughout the complete season. It's no good just looking at it in April and making a decision then. You've got to give it a chance in all conditions. And obviously the pitches have been a lot drier this year than they have in the previous couple of seasons. And I'm not sure anyone's a great fan of the experiment at the moment. It seems particularly hard work for the bowlers, and it's not great for the batsmen, to be honest with you, because it seems that after about 15-20 overs the ball goes soft and there's no pace on it, so the batsmen can't play shots properly. The bowlers are struggling to get wickets, balls aren't carrying through to slip, little outside edges that the batters get. So it becomes a pretty turgid game, and I'm not sure this experiment will last for a lot longer. I know there are a number of groundsmen around the country who hope it doesn't.
Keeps a fraction low there, but Delle manages to get that one away with a pull shot out to deep square leg, rotating the strike, gets down the other end with a single. Yeah, I guess the one slight winners are probably the spinners. They get that little bit more opportunity with the fact it is, as you say, it can be turgid and it can be a long slog for the bowlers. That actually having a spinner just allows them to try and rest and recover their 3 or 4 quicks they might have.
Yeah, I think in that case it's pretty good, because anything that we can do to get slow bowlers back into the game has got to be a plus. For so long now, we've seen seam bowlers just come in and hammer away, and it's great to see a couple of spinners bowling. But I think we see with the seamers in this game is that they're having to try different things to try and take wickets. It's not the conventional way. Different field placings and different types of bowling. It's very hard for them.
Robinson again, and Stout short, and could be a glove through. It's given. First wicket of the day. Graeme Clark has to depart for 51 with a feather through to the keeper, and big celebrations for Sussex, knowing that this hard Kookaburra ball, they had to make headway early on today, and they've just done exactly that. Graeme Clark back to the pavilion, 51 from 103. And Ollie Robinson with the first wicket of the day, caught John Simpson behind the stumps.
Yeah, Sussex pick up second bowling bonus point. You're always frustrated when you lose your wicket, but I think Clark will be even more so, just verging on a bit of a nothing shot, really. If he looks back at that, he probably wants to get out the way of it, or just do something that wasn't that. Just catching a glove on the way through to Simpson regulation. It does bring George Giselle out to the crease to join Baz Delle. Still 20 overs left for bonus points to be decided. Deficit 90 for Durham. There's a bit of decision making to be done, Vic, over which pitch we're going to use for this game. I know you and the groundsman were umming and ahhing between going with the used wicket for the T20s on Friday or the fresh one. Ended up being the fresh one. What sort of how many millimetres of grass to leave on this one for the game starting on Sunday?
Yeah, this one was cut down to 6 mil, which is probably lower than we've been for any game so far. I think we've known for a week or so that Archer was going to be playing in this game, and it's a pretty decent. It looks like it's raining.
It is indeed. I can see your colleagues having to run all the way around.
I may be disappearing in a minute.
But 6 mil.
6 mil, yeah. As I say, we knew Archer was going to be playing, and you're not going to... no one in their right mind would be producing a pitch which is going to suit the away bowlers. So we had to think about what we were doing, hence the thought of playing on a used wicket and playing a couple of spinners. But it was decided sort of Saturday morning, that no, we would go with the fresh pitch, which is probably the right way to go, but take a bit more grass off of it, and it's gone back to really what we were doing a couple of years ago when we won Division 2, and we won 6 out of 7 games here in that season. This pitch is probably more like those pitches were.
Good quick start from Archer, going with the short ball to Delle. This it looks pretty central, isn't it? What number is it? 13?
Oh, this is 16 actually.
16.
Yeah,
so slightly more over to the old scoreboard.
More towards the old scoreboard. Yeah. It's ideal for you guys because it's right in line with your commentary position.
Oh, it's perfect, mate. If we can have all of them in like the 13 to 17 range, then
be terrific. I'll see what I can do.
Well, the boundary dimensions we've got for this one, is it still...
It's just about 65 metres all round.
So still basically what it was for the T20 on Friday.
Yeah. That seems to be the sort of size that Cambo likes.
Looks like that was just a very brief passing shower. Got some slightly nicer overheads away to our left-hand side. Just making their way through, but
yeah, hopefully they're all like that.
Yeah, just at the start of the
over,
yeah, definitely looked. Definitely tell that the rain was coming down. Archer starting with 3 dots for his first spell this morning. I guess that little bit of inward movement there, but Again, too much height and maybe the inside edge as well from Delle.
Yeah, James Cole's behind the stumps. Loved that one. He was going full guns blazing with that appeal. I think, as you say, though, perhaps a faint inside edge, possibly a little bit high as well. But it's good to see Jofra into the attack now with the new ball. Still pretty hard. Sharp spell so far.
Yeah, first time as well he's bowled kind of consistently. 3 out the... Well, we've had 5 balls now in this over. 3 of them have been that really short length. He has been kind of mixing it up. That second spell yesterday was the odd short ball mixed in, but he's looking like he's going consistently short here. And we'll have a look in what his stint length is. I think it was 4 first up for him, 11 overs, then 6 after he picked up the wicket of Emilio Game, managed to drag out an extra couple, and then another spell of 4 to end yesterday. And that one doesn't get up on Delle at all, wraps him on the wrists. It's another maiden for Sussex. They have started really well this morning, and Archer has his 7th maiden of the innings. Off his 15th, 1 for 28. His figures currently read Durham 371 for 6. Still trying to get up towards 300 before those 110 overs are done.
Yeah, I think that's the 22nd maiden of the innings so far. You can just tell how disciplined the Sussex bowling attack has been. Just trying not to give anything easy, and we've seen and we've talked about it so far this morning. And that was a very, very sharp spell, opening spell for Jofra Archer. Robinson will continue. Down at the other end though, he comes in. It's Dressel, full and straight and challenging Dressel onto the front foot.
Looks to me as if Robinson's coming in a lot harder today than he has in the previous couple of days, or certainly yesterday. He seems to be running in a bit harder and putting a bit more into it this morning.
Yeah, he hit Baz, the leader, pretty hard earlier on, a few overs ago now. And as you mentioned, he's very much pumping the knees, making the most of the new Kookaburra. Full and straight and driven, but Dressel doesn't fully get a hold of it, and it yet again finds Jofra Archer at mid-off. And yeah, it's bright blue sunny skies again here in Chesterley Street. Having been raining, not particularly hard, but very much definitely raining for at least a few balls. Robinson in again. Onto the back foot this time from Dressel, a bit shorter, up onto the toes. I think you almost have to give a bit of praise to the umpires to actually keep the players on there. I'm sure that some umpires would have rushed the players off, and once it starts raining you can't come back on until it's fully stopped. So they would have been on pretty quickly again, but you never really know. It's great to see them continuing. With the clouds well away to our right over the top of the castle, Lumley Castle. That was shorter again from Robinson, ducked under this time from Dressel, who's been watchful from his first 4 deliveries.
He had that brief rain delay, what was it, day 1, Vic, just for 10 minutes or so?
Very shortly, yeah, but the biggest problem that we've had during this game has been the wind. Yesterday the wind was awful, just blowing across the ground, and the boundary was moving, the sight screens were flapping up. It's horrible.
Saw plenty of dust being kicked up as well from wicket ends.
Yeah. Thankfully today that seems to have dropped a little bit. It's still breezy out there, but yesterday was terrible.
Does that affect the wickets themselves if it's too windy? Does it?
It can do, not so much in these conditions because it's not particularly hot, but when it's sunny and windy, that's an absolute nightmare because it takes all the moisture out of the ground straight away.
Final delivery of Robinson's over here. And defended again solidly there from Dressel through his first over, unscathed, but also without scoring. Durham 271 for 6 there. And that is another maiden over. Down next to Ollie Robinson's name. That's his 4th now of the innings. Archer 7. Finn Hudson Prentice has got 5. Sandu with 4 as well, and also a couple for James Coles and 1 even for Tom Clark, the part-timer.
I think just looking at Archer and Simpson there, I think we may be seeing someone potentially going under the lid for him, or maybe they're going to look to replace Robinson next over.
Oh, that was sharp.
That is probably the sharpest delivery we've seen from Archer, and a very good take from Simpson behind the stumps. Really just rocketed up and over once it passed Delle, and you know we've been blessed this game so far to be treated to some very good wicket keeping, or 2 very good wicket keepers in Simpson and Durham's Ollie Robinson. Obviously, the regulation catch that Robinson should have taken, the only real blemish. Again, nice and short from Archer. How much cricket have you got to prepare for in the next few weeks, Vic, as we now start moving towards the end of the Vitality Blast group stages, and then obviously the Metro Bank One Day Cup, which actually there's not a lot of cricket being played here for the One Day Cup, is there?
No. I mean, we're back to T20 after this game, or when the lads get back from Surrey next week, but back into a period of 3 weeks maybe of T20, men and women. They come through very quickly. But then once we get into August, I think we've got three home 50 over games in the whole of August. So we're all off to the south of France for a fortnight.
Is that team bonding experience?
Well, yeah, I'm trying to work on the financial director to sort of say to him that this is recharging the batteries and getting the boys all working together again, but not sure it's going down too well at the moment, to be honest with you. But
do you need someone else to kind of back you up here, Vic?
Well, I think maybe.
It's a nice looking drive that pierces Carson at cover. Demain will get through for 1.
Just going back to John Simpson there, you were talking about he's been a terrific keeper for a long time. I remember coming across him probably 14, 15 years ago when he was playing for Middlesex Seconds. I was at the time working at Uxbridge Cricket Club, which was an outground for Middlesex, so I saw quite a lot of John then in his early days.
Don't want to alarm you, Vic. It's raining again.
It's a bit harder this time as well.
It is a bit harder this time.
Umpires are looking up. They're happy to let play continue for the time being. Dressel isn't, though, waving Jofra back to his mark.
I'm not sure we've got anybody at the tractor either.
I think Ben might be in there. It's well hidden. Oh,
Good Yorker.
yeah, the nice switch up has been short to Delle for the first 3, then the slightly fuller one for that single.
They have changed up the field as well now. They've still got that one sweeper at a deep fine leg right there on the boundary, but they've also got a leg gully and also someone under the lids at short.
Yeah, just trying
leg as well.
to play some mind games with Giselle, really trying to see if they can if Archer can rough him up with the short stuff, and then maybe try and pop one just to him or around the corner. Sort of like that. Big appeals for LBW. It's going to go down as a leg by.
Probably.
I mean, it's going to be high and definitely more leg side than anything. So Just 2 from that over, though. 273 for 6.
It's probing bowling, isn't it? They're giving it everything this morning.
Mm.
And the lights have now come on as well. May help it to swing around a little bit.
Has there been a light reading taken so far? Or
Not that I've seen, no.
But I don't think there wasn't really time for one to be taken when we came off on day 1.
No.
Was that when the umpires took them off, were they just saying to you that it was probably going to be very quick and not to...
Yeah, I think so.
Because it was pretty much just cover the pitch and then get straight back to it.
Straight back on, yeah.
Inside edge found there from Robinson.
That's the thing with these showers and the wind blowing as well. They're going to blow through very quickly, and they're not, thankfully, putting down too much and not interrupting play too badly at the moment. Nobody wants those that go on for a little while and then we're playing an extra half an hour every day.
They're long enough days as it is.
They're long enough days, yeah. Particularly at this point of the season.
Onto the front foot from Giselle again. That's 10th deliveries faced. Still yet to get any runs onto the scoreboard, though. To lead us similarly down at the other end, 13 off 41. Does not look to try and push on Durham scoring particularly rapidly. Another 16 and a bit overs to try and get the bonus points in. That one's inside half of the bat again there from Giselle. Onto the front foot.
I think here we're seeing the beauty of 4-day cricket. This is what makes 4-day cricket the best format for me, is that there's a real battle going on out there at the moment. Neither side wants to give an inch. I mean, both sides want to get a first innings lead, and you can see the intensity that the Sussex guys have come in with this morning. They're not going to give Durham a run, and it's a real challenge out there. And that's the way it should be. There's none of this just stand and hit the ball out of the ground. It's a proper battle between bat and ball.
Yeah, as the sun is properly out now here again at the Banks Home Riverside. Bright blue sunny skies, can barely see a rain cloud other than quite a long way away over the top of Lumley Castle. The wind is really blowing everything through quickly here. Ball still nipping about. That last one from Robinson angled in, seamed away. That one's a bit shorter this time. Dismissal ducks well.
Notice we've got a very interesting field position down here at I'm not sure what you call it.
Deep backward square, but it's not fully.
He's not deep
out on the rope, is he? Yeah.
He's sort of 2/3.
Yeah.
Yeah, they're trying to get both of these two to play that pull shot and just be too early on it and get that top edge and hopefully just sail straight into the hand. And then also got Sandhu at long leg, so that if Robinson does end up straying too far down the leg side, it should only just be one. And that's another maiden for Ollie Robinson. They're just stringing these together now. Sussex, as Vic said, really not wanting to give Durham an inch and give them any momentum going forward into the rest of the day. Robinson's 5th, currently 1 for 41 for him. Are there any plans? You mentioned there's only 3 50-over games here in August. What sort of plans, if any, have you got for looking after the square at that sort of time? Because then after that, there's only, again, one more county championship game here in September. Worcestershire come up here second to last week of the season. What sort of maintenance, if any, will you be able to get done in that period of August when you're not in the south of France, obviously?
Well, I'm done in the south of France, yeah, of course. Yeah, come back to that in just a second. And so what I'd like to do is at the top end of the square towards the pavilion side, I'd certainly like to get 7, 8, 9 pitches actually repaired sort of work that I would normally do at the end of the season when everything's finished. But what we do is we shave all the grass off. We use a machine called a scarifier, which pulls a lot of rubbish out of the ground. Then we'll get some fresh seed into it and some top dressing, so a new dressing of loam soil over the top, and get the grass growing before we get into that late September spell, and hopefully catch the good weather so that the grass grows quickly and is strong for the winter, knowing that then if we do get a bad winter like we had the season before last, where it sits wet all winter, that at least we'll have one side of the square that we can start playing on the following season. It's become one of my constant challenges now is to get the grass to grow during the winter, and we can't afford to be too late getting that going. So if we can get a head start in August whilst we are quiet, that will be fantastic.
And so with that repair work, if you manage to get it done, that would mean that the pitches for the rest of the season are going to be these ones over the right hand side over towards the old scoreboard.
Exactly where you want them.
Archer, again, another very short pitch display, and there's the full one, and that's going to thump into the pad of Delle and be given as a leg bye. Also, just one more little thing to throw in, Vic, is there could be the potential of a home quarter-final in the Blast if the men are able to capitalise on the good start. With that sort of, it kind of is an anomaly, would it have been something you would have planned for on your spreadsheet at the start of the season when you're looking at how to separate the pitches for each game that, potentially getting? That's loops up. Just evades Jofra Archer in his follow-through. Starting to get some plays out of Drizel. None of 15 for him. But yeah, would that have been on your radar at the start of the season, knowing that you might not have an awful lot of time to prep a T20 quarter-final pitch?
Yeah, it's always there in the back of your mind. There is always something out there in the middle of the square, because the chances are that would probably be a TV game, which limits the pitches that we can use. Has to be one of the 6 in the centre of the square, so we keep one back just in case we should qualify for either the T20 or the 50 over matches if a pitch is needed. It's not at the forefront of my mind at all, but it's just there if it happens.
Yeah, just that leg bye from the over, 274 for 6. Those restrictions, is that just with the cameras and everything that Sky Sports would want to put in, and that's why they need it to be a central pitch?
Yeah, there's a couple of things actually. It's camera positions. Cameras have to get up on top of the media centre to get a view straight down the pitch, and also from pitches 9 to 14, we've got wiring ducts in for each of those pitches, so that they can just plug in the stump microphones and everything for the camera work.
Robinson continues here, and that was cut away nicely by Baz Delle, but straight out to the fielder at deep backward point. Carson down there on the rope. 7th over in a spell this morning now from Ollie Robinson. It's an impressive start from him. Dropped in a few maidens throughout the spell as well. And still with the slightly odd field. Ready for the short balls if they come. And there's an edge, but it doesn't carry that one. It's played with very soft hands from Giselle.
I don't think he meant that, though.
No.
He was expecting the short one, and it was back of a leg. It just did not get up and just sort of just hit where Giselle would kind of left his bat. And, yeah, very fortunate it did not go on the full, because that would have been a hammer blow for Durham if that was the way he got out. It's like you're talking about, Vic, as that ball starts to get a bit softer, the edges start to just drop short.
That was shorter, and does that
That's
hit
it.
Giselle on the helmet? Or is it
It's
gloves up high enough?
top of his body, I think.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I don't think that ball before, which didn't carry through to the keeper, as you say, I don't think that was a genuine edge. I think it looked to me as if he was sort of almost chopping down on the ball. But that previous ball there, that certainly carried through.
That was short again, but played a little bit better from Giselle. Out in front of square on the leg sides.
Yeah, they're just keeping discipline going, Sussex, because it's very easy to just say and make that plan of you going to the short ball, but as we've seen with so many teams, that if you just get it wrong, then the batters can just really lay into you and get going. And see Simpson just making a few more field changes. So they're well aimed short balls. It's not just bowling short for the sake of it. It's, you know, trying to get that edge or try to roughen the batter up and then hit him with a full one.
There's the full one, driven straight down the ground, but straight to the fielder at mid-on.
It's also good awareness from the batters, knowing that that's probably what Sussex are going to try to do. Short, and then hit the full.
But as you say, they haven't been wasted bouncers, have they? The batsmen
Absolutely
are having
not.
to play 90% of them. It's not a case of getting out of the way.
Well, it's what did for Graeme Clark.
Yeah, absolutely.
One that almost catches you in two minds, and if you make the wrong call, then you're frustrated.
That was pushed down through the offside, outside edge. A very, very thick one in the end. Quite a long way past the slip cord, and that brings up Giselle's first runs of the day. The boundary there, 4 off 21 he is now. Ends the over as well, with Durham on 279 for 6.
That wasn't a confident shot, though, was it? That was a waft away from the body, and got a bit lucky there.
Yeah, he escapes, as you say, with a little bit of luck.
Just an element of surviving, because Robertson's bowled unchanged this morning, pretty much. He's gone straight through from Delle to an element of just surviving his spell almost. I talk about it. Obviously, the shorter ball takes a lot out of you. You know, Archer's coming into his fourth over here, having bowled, I'd say 70 to 75% of his deliveries have been of that short length. So it's a case of getting through those spells and then trying to capitalise if the bowling does drop down a level or two, as Delle just comfortably rocks up to Sandhu at mid-on, trying to see if anyone else is potentially getting loose to replace Robinson. Maybe change of ends for Sandhu, bring him back from that Lumley end. There's only a short spell from this morning before Archer was brought in.
I thought Hudson Prentice bowled particularly well yesterday. I thought he was the pick of the bowlers.
Just really settled straight away on a line and length and didn't allow anything. That man at leg gully goes back in for Giselle. Gets out the way of that one. I think it's going to go down as 4-leg buys.
Yeah, I think it clipped the top of Giselle's back as he ducked into that one.
Yeah, I was just wondering, because he wasn't obviously trying to play a shot, whether the umpire would signal it a dead ball, but...
Is he taking evasive action?
Yeah,
that's
I
true,
think
yeah.
so.
Durham won't mind that, though. An extra helping to the total. Just 16 away now from that 300 mark and what would be the second batting bonus point.
Interesting the difference in fields between the two batsmen. Archer's bowling at. With Delle, he started the over with the 3 men back. He really fancies having a go at Drizzle, I think.
Yes, maybe just trying to get him relatively quickly. Just try and expose
I think
the couple batters below.
Give the leader the single and Now that leg side looks pretty attacking.
Yeah, saw it with Durham late on day one. Sort of when Coles was with Sandu at the end of that half an hour, just really just allowed Coles to take the singles, and they wanted 5 balls at Sandu if they could get them. So similar sort of plan. And what I like as well from Simpson is that Archer still has the bit of protection to go full. Obviously, they are leaving cover open, but there is backward point. Ollie Robinson sort of an extra cover. So still trying to offer some respite for his bowlers. That one flicked just past Ibrahim under the lid at short leg. It would have been an absolute stunner had he pulled that one off. Obviously, with the extra pace Jofra Archer is bowling at. Travels off the bat, and Giselle starting to get a little bit going as he turns away for a couple.
Yeah, he timed that one quite nicely. Giselle in the end there, and as you say, would have been a phenomenal take.
That's certainly what they're looking for, though, isn't it?
Yeah.
Is they're targeting that area.
We're seeing leg gully come out to a forward square leg instead now.
We've actually had a third man go in as well for that ball.
I think they were probably happy to try and give a single to Giselle, but he ducked early and got under that one almost before Archer released it.
Is it John's favourite?
Third man, yeah, absolutely.
Remember, what was it? Me and Ash were on comms, and you were as well, and he was listening in and looking over to us when every time a run went down to third man.
He counts them every game.
Can have a look on the balcony there. Ben Rain going to be next in. Will be the change of ends for Sandy. Who else we got up there? Sam Connors, Luke Robinson on 12th man duties. Alex Lees just walking away. Colin Ackerman, Ollie Robinson, and Graeme Clark. Alex Lees fancies a bit of luxury chair. Actually, I can't blame him, as Jimmy Neesham makes a walk down beneath us, heading off for a net, choosing to stay in the region. Obviously, one of Durham's 2 Kiwi overseas. As Ryan Campbell said on day one, Zach Folks very quickly decided to jump on a plane and go get some R&R in, I believe, Thailand, potentially. You can see Neesham just walking across the top of your screen there.
Oh, and that one's almost left alone there by Baz Delle, but he gets a bottom edge on it. Not quite quick enough to pull his hands away. And again, a slightly lucky escape. Could have very easily edged that one back onto the stumps. Possibly a slight change in plan here with Sandu bowling. They've still got the 2 sweepers out behind square on the leg side, but they've also got an easy out to deep backward point and a few men in front of square 2. That was full and straight down the leg side in the end. Nothing on it from the leader. A couple slips in as well, you can see. James Coles, Tom Clark.
Yeah, saw Neesham having a bowl yesterday lunchtime as well on one of your practice wickets out there, Vic. Still getting some decent carry on those?
Yeah, I think so. Ben's doing a good job out there, and he looks after the nets, and he's doing a good job. First morning, I don't know if you noticed it, but we had Archer and Mark Wood out there bowling in the same net with the
in the nets?
With Neil Killeen, yeah.
I think we caught them on the walk. I think we caught them on the walk back and on the walk round, but
yeah, I think Archer was bowling left arm spin, and I'm not sure what Woody was bowling.
That was short and pulled nicely in front of square there. Onto it really early as the leader, and that one races for 4. First boundary in quite a while off the bat. We've seen a few float around, one off the back of Dressel earlier on, last over. But that one from Delle timed really sweetly.
Yeah, really convincing shot. And as we mentioned, Sandu doesn't quite have the pace of Robinson or Archer. So if it is slightly misdirected, the Durham batters can get after him.
Same again there. Carbon copy. That one's even further in front of square. And another really good shot from Delle. Pivots onto it early. And it flies away down towards our left here. On to 23.
Those two balls really just sat there, didn't they? They sat there and asked to be whacked. Unlike when Robinson was bowling from that end, he was getting it through.
Yeah, I think the ball is just that fraction older and that fraction softer as well. That one's a bit fuller this time and just dropped into the offside. Smart batting from Delle. Rotates the strike and keeps the strike for the next over. Perhaps Simpson missing a bit of a trick there to try and bring up the fields and not allow the easy single.
Looks like it's just going to be another 4-over spell for Archer, but again, another lively one, similar to his second spell yesterday. This one a bit more of the consistent short stuff. Definitely rushed George Giselle for pace out in the middle. Looks like Finn Hudson-Prentice going to have a change of ends. Here, Vicky came exclusively down from the Lumley end yesterday.
He did, yeah. I think it must be really frustrating for these captains, mustn't it, to be, dare I say, being hampered by the ECB in what the England bowlers can do. I certainly don't think Ben Stokes would come off after 4 overs.
No, we were talking about it yesterday, me and Ben, about that Somerset game he was here for, and Scott Borthwick tried to pull him off after 5, which is probably one more than he really wanted, and there was just a look and a few words, and
he's not having any of that.
Before you knew it, Ben Stokes had bowled 8 on the trot, and then he finally relented.
Yeah.
So, I mean, I can obviously understand it from the ECB's point of view in terms of, we don't need to, run through everything that Jofra Archer's gone through. It's well documented. It's out there. But there's also the flip side of, if he's going to go straight into a test match, a 5-day test match where he's going to have to bowl maybe 16 to 20 or 16 to 18 in a day, then I understand your point of, well, he kind of needs to get those longer spells in. He's had 3 spells of 4 and 1 of 6. It's...
Yeah, I know it's early days in his comeback, and they're just nursing him back into it. But I just think from the captain's point of view, it's got to be somewhat galling, particularly in this situation where what are Durham 60 odd behind?
So it's a really...
Sussex are desperate for a couple of wickets now, and
it's a really pivotal point where the game could swing one way or the other.
You have to take your main weapon off.
Then there's also the caveat of, well, should he really be thrown straight back into a test match after one red ball game in 4 years? But we don't have to worry about those decisions. They're made by people that are paid a lot more than us. Oh, really nice from Hudson-Prentice. Again, just really set straight back into that consistent line and length. Just set on 4th stump and really not wanting to let Delle to get away. You would have seen the couple pulls that Bass played in the last over and sort of got an in-out field going on here. Got James Coles at slip. You've got Ollie Robinson and Tom Clark. It's the short catches on the off and leg side. Got backward point. Sort of a deepish extra cover in Tom Haynes, and then 2 boundary riders on the leg side. It's Dan. Of course, 2 Aussies are out there. Dan Hughes is having a chat with
Harry.
With Harry, the guy. How much longer is he with you guys?
Harry's here till the end of August, so he will get back from the south of France and he's straight back on another plane to Australia.
Good running. I did mention Haynes is pretty deep at extra cover, and Delle are able to work one out to him. Surely then he just goes straight from south of France to Australia, or maybe...
Well, perhaps he will, yeah. Perhaps he will. But, he's very much looking forward to the test match, the first test, down at the Opus Stadium, where he'll be working in the winter. And then I think just after that, he's got an AC/DC concert.
Living the dream.
Absolutely.
He's just going to be the one from Hudson Prentice. His first over of the day, 296 for 6. Unless something absolutely remarkable happens, Durham should get the 300 in time, but 350 looks...
Maybe something remarkable for them to get up there.
Yeah, pretty improbable.
11 overs, they've got to get another...
54.
Yeah.
It's good to see Harry enjoying, though, his stint up in the northeast.
Yeah, I think he's settled in well. He's doing a good job. I'm not sure he's loving the weather. He was a couple of weeks ago.
He can't have everything.
Absolutely. First day of this match, he was really layered up.
Sandu continues, and that was just tucked into the leg side nicely from Baz the leader there.
Yeah, you can see it's a very obvious plan. They want to bowl at Giselle. They're quite happy to give Bass those ones if it means they can have 5 at Giselle. But Giselle's no slouch with the bat either. You know, he's put a lot of work into all aspects of his game over the winter, but definitely his batting has come on even more, and it's a very big reason as to why he's got that number 1 spinner role ahead of Callum Parkinson.
Looks to try and push that one into the offside, but just in the end smashes that one straight into the ground. No run. Yeah, he's had a pretty good season with the bat so far, has Giselle. He made 69 against Hampshire, a couple 40s and 30s against Nottinghamshire in the 2 games Durham have faced against them.
He's done really well in the seconds as well. He scored a number of runs in the seconds. He probably deserves his chance. This is a different test.
Onto the front foot to defend there.
So Delle has also scored runs in the seconds. I think he took them over the line down at Warwickshire last week. 77 not out. To see them over the line in their game, and then runs back up the motorway and he's in a game on the Sunday for the firsts.
It's good to see that because it kind of shows the progression and the way back into the first team. Score runs in the 2s. Do well for the 2s and you get your opportunities.
Yeah, as well for Bass. We spoke about it with Ryan Campbell on day 1.
That was full and straight and driven nicely, whipped away, deposited over the leg side. Is it going to have the legs? It doesn't, unfortunately. They'll get back for
no ball as well.
The one overstep again there from Sandu.
That will be the 300 for Durham with that no ball. I thought that was potentially going for 6 as it first left the bat from Giselle.
Yeah, just plugged in the outfield out there, I think, when it landed. But he just whipped that one high and long out towards the square leg boundary.
Yeah, confirmation of 300 is up, 2 for the no ball, and then Giselle and Delle ran to themselves.
Giselle back onto the front foot to defend there.
Yeah, Ryan Campbell mentioned it about Delle. He'd had a stress fracture over the winter and sort of delayed his return, really. He's been playing some franchise tournaments and with the Dutch as well, playing as a batter only, and finally able to get back up to the northeast just ahead of the blast starting.
Short again and pulled up in the air. Could be taken. An absolutely fantastic take out there in the deep, and that's a big, big wicket. The 7th wicket now for Durham. Sandu picks up another. That's his 3rd, I think, there. And a really good take, low in front, out there on the deep square leg boundaries, falling into the trap there as Giselle will be disappointed. He fought hard for his 8 runs from 31 deliveries, but has fallen to the trap. And a great low take there by Finn Hudson-Prentice off the bowling of Sandhu.
I think he may have damaged himself there in doing so as well.
Yeah, it doesn't look the most comfortable, but a really phenomenal take. We saw James Wharton take a similar one in the T20 on Friday night, really running round and low as the ball is dying on them, able to get their claws underneath it. So Durham get to 300, but they lose Giselle pretty much straight away. Maybe just didn't sit up quite as nicely for him. Brings out the veteran Ben Rain at number 9. Not a very bad player to have walk out at number 9 in your batting order. Be a right-left combo for Durham, so potential there to work some singles and just maybe apply some pressure back onto Sussex. But
the ground staff are ready again.
Yeah, the overheads of...
something is happening out there.
The overheads, unfortunately, I think this might be a common theme of today. Some passing showers. Hopefully they remain just that.
Yeah, I think that wicket, there was a lot of it was down to the direction of the ball. It was, or it seemed to be outside off stump that Drizzle was dragging it from, and wasn't able to control the shot properly.
He's coming round the wicket. It looks like now is Sandhu to the left-handed Ben Rain. Couple slips. Deep point. Couple out deep on the leg side behind square again as well. That's another short one. Pulled nicely by Rain round the corner. Out towards Archer, and that ends the over with Rain getting off the mark straight away.
Yeah, an eventful one. Eventful over. I think 6 from it, and also the wicket of Giselle. So Sussex won't mind that. They're probably still just about in front.
It's good to see that Hudson-Prentice is coming back onto bowl after that. He's still looking at his knee, though.
Yeah, maybe jarred it as he went to take the catch and just dragged along.
He certainly doesn't look that comfortable with it. Be interesting to see if he gets through the over okay.
Yeah, Simpson standing up to the stumps as well. Ben Rain facing up with Hudson-Prentice coming round the wicket again. They still have a couple sweepers out on the square leg boundary. Also James Coles in the slips. Ollie Robinson just moving from the leg side in front of square over to the off, catching just off the screen.
Yeah, I think there's some very fine rain out there, Vic, so
yeah.
Potentially might need to be called into action.
I'm under starter's orders. Waiting to see if the tractor moves.
That's aerial from Rain. I don't mind that approach. Very nice, lofted, extra cover drive. It is a very packed offside field, which you saw to Will Rhodes yesterday. Just Sussex really not wanting to give Durham anything along the ground and cut off those singles. So Ben Rain, fearless as ever, just taking the aerial route. He gets his fourth. He gets his first 4 of the day.
Really nice shot there. Just back foot punch. Timed it really well as well.
And then we'll take the one out to Tom Clark.
Yeah, sensible cricket there from Ben Rain. Boundary first up and then just rotating the strike, getting Baz the leader back onto face. The leader who picked up 4 for in the first innings of the game, 4 for 96. Got the dangerous Dan Hughes out before mopping up the lower order.
Yeah, it was an absolute seed to dismiss Hughes. Really one that nipped in and then moved away at the last second. Really good delivery on his first appearance of the season. Unfortunately, it sounds like Durham are going to not have him available for Surrey later this week. I think the Dutch have a World Cup qualifier which he's being released for, as is part of his sort of a goodwill agreement between Delle and the club. They won't stand in his way. Very proud and passionate Dutchman who wants to represent his country at every opportunity.
I'm really pleased to see him doing well in this game, because he hasn't had a lot of luck this season with injuries and then not getting into the side. But he's grabbing his chance here.
Yeah, he's grabbing a few more runs there. He might grab 4 of them. It won't be nicely pulled up just inside the rope, but it will be 3. Delle moves to 29 from 62. Maybe, just maybe, looking to up the tempo. Deficit now 51 for the hosts.
I think he's actually a very good 4-day player. I know people have labelled him for years as just being a white ball player, but I think he fits into this format really well.
It's amazing what players can do when given the opportunity to play some 4-day cricket. Rain flicks that one off his pads. Again, another good diving stop. I think it's Carson out there on the boundary. So another couple from the last ball. A very productive over. 10 from it. 212 for 7. Obviously, the Dutch don't play any test cricket. They only play white ball cricket. So therefore, Delle has been kind of limited to that on the international stage.
Yeah, and only played 16 first-class games. Obviously, you say pretty much exclusively for Durham. Has a reasonable record. 33 with the bat, 34 with the ball.
Yeah, it's just that another reliable middle-order player that, again, we've mentioned so many times, it's something that sort of got, the top order was really explosive for Durham in 2023, but it was that lower middle order of sort of Grinding Cast, Ben Rain, players like that. Delle had his small role to play as well.
Short there, and Delle has a bit of a waft. Semi-appeals from behind the stumps of Simpson and Coles, but no edge found. They've dropped the third man out actually as well towards the deep square leg boundary in front of square, and about 3/4 of the way out, just towards where the square ends. That was a bit fuller this time. Delle just works it into the leg side towards Tom Clark in there at catching mid-wicket. Yeah, 4 fielders out on or near the boundary for Delle. Obviously similar to with Dressel, happy to try and bowl to Rain and get Delle off strike. Full and straight again, and just tickled into the leg side to bring Rain back on to face.
Yeah, having a quick look around the grounds. Hampshire are getting a move on down at Chelmsford. They now lead by 87, 283 for 5. Warwickshire still steady going as they look to tick off the runs against Somerset. 194 for 3. Somerset have picked up their first bowling bonus point. Surrey are running through Worcestershire, 125 for 9. The hosts are looking like an even taller order for them to try and stay in Division 1. If Surrey do pick up the victory, which I think everyone expects them to do. Yorkshire 199 for 4 against Notts at Trent Bridge.
That was tickled finely. It's going to run towards the rope, but won't have the legs for that.
Yeah, be a couple. Gloucestershire 96 for 2. They've lost their first wicket of the morning, still trailing by 115 against Derbyshire. Lancashire 178 for 2, trading now by 196 against Kent at Blackpool. Potential interesting game at Northampton.
Fuller again, but defended from Rain.
Middlesex 413, Northamptonshire 356 for 9. So it'll be interesting to see how Middlesex go about it with the bat once Northamptonshire are all out. And Leicestershire 442 for 6, leading by 89 against Glamorgan.
What's happening in the test this morning?
90 without loss, England at the moment. Ben Duck at 50. That one finds the inside edge of Rain into the leg side. They're going to push for 2 here, but we'll just take the single. That ends the over. 316 for 7. Durham now. Ben Rain moves on to 9. Baz the leader into the 30s now.
Just to rub salt in the wounds for Worcestershire, it's one of their former players from last year, Nathan Smith, who's done the damage. 6 for 38 he's taken. Worcestershire have just been bundled all out for 125. So Surrey will require 49 to pick up yet another victory. And Worcestershire, they had a mini fight back yesterday, but no batting bonus points. Has kind of been the story of their season. Ollie Robinson's going to replace Hudson Prentice after just a couple overs. Maybe that catch just unsettling him enough that doesn't feel comfortable to bowl. Got Ben Rain in the sights. Too high from Robinson, and Delle trying to sneak a leg by, but very quickly realises it's not on. Yeah, they did pick up maximum bowling bonus points with Worcestershire, but it's just been not enough runs with the bat. Has been the story of their year. Adam Hose passing 40, but no one else getting 40 exactly, but no one else getting above 30 in that second innings. So Surrey look as if they're going to wrap up a comfortable win inside 3 days at New Road. I'll fizz down the leg side.
Right, gentlemen, I can see the ground staff tucking into their lunch, so forgive me, but I'm going to leave you now.
No worries, Vic. Thank you very
talking.
much.
Cheers,
Appreciate the insight. Appreciate the insight, as always, from head groundsman Victor Demain.
Yeah, interestingly, and probably most importantly for Surrey, that are looking like they might pick up. I think that's their first away win of the season, with a lot of draws and a lot of flat pitches for them. Which will affect the table in a few interesting ways. They're obviously pushing Nottinghamshire at the top of the table. Sussex currently sat in 3rd. Obviously be looking to try and push on with the game here, pick up a victory if they can. The draw perhaps looking like the most likely result, unless we see one of the sides rip through the order with the ball.
Short arm jab from Rain. Pretty fine. I think maybe a bit of glove involved in that as well. Who's already moved to 10 off 11.
Yeah, Durham similarly here, a victory and a few bonus points, which they've managed to get, would push them on and up the table. It's pretty tight in the middle, in the upper middle of the County Championship Div 1.
Going down leg from Robinson, but he is settling back in quite nicely to his spell.
Yeah, he's probably been pick of the bowlers so far. Bowled very tidily. Got the ball to move around a little bit, to talk off the pitch as well. Archer, similarly, actually, has bowled very, very well, but just for the 4 overs you've seen from him.
A tidy return from Robinson, just 1 from it.
317 for 7, Durham. Ben Rain going pretty nicely, 10 off 11 so far. We saw him a couple overs ago hit a gorgeous back foot punch over the top of the covers for 4 runs. It's his only boundary. Delle 30 off 66. Has been very watchful so far today. Picked up 4 boundaries along the way. Sandhu to continue. Simpson just adjusts the field a fraction. Backward point inside the imaginary ring. With a deep cover as well. Round the wicket comes Sandhu. That was pushed up in the air. Gone. There's the wicket. Ben Rain looking to try and hit one again over the covers off the back foot, but instead offers a simple catching opportunity to Tom Clark in there at extra cover. He'll be disappointed with that one, will Rain. And that's another wicket for Sandhu. Rain goes for 10 off 12 balls. Just saying that he was batting quite nicely. And we're seeing Delle slowly run out of partners now. Matt Potts will be coming out to join him. Sandhu's 4th wicket along the way as well. As he's picked up a couple this morning. Got Delle out caught in the deep. And then Rain there as well with a simple catch at extra cover.
Yeah, pretty soft dismissal, to be honest, from Ben Rain.
And it is Matt Potts to come out at number 10. A more than capable batter, coming in quite low down the order. We saw Rain try and be very positive there and try and push the scoring on. Been interesting to see what Potts decides to do and how he goes about scoring and partnering the leader, who hasn't been particularly aggressive unless he's offered a few loose deliveries, which he has been very good at putting away.
Yeah, Jimmy Neesham's just finished up his net as well and walking background. And interestingly, it looks as if he's just finished a red ball net rather than a white ball one.
Yeah, maybe getting involved in the game down at Surrey next week. Or perhaps the other Kookaburra rounds later on this season in July.
Yeah, quite interesting. I thought potentially he would have taken lead of Zach Fawkes and jumped on a plane somewhere to a bit warmer and got some R&R in, but fair play to him for sticking around. Yeah, maybe something to watch over the next few days.
Oh, inside half of the bat there for Matt Potts first up. Couple slips in, catches in front of the wicket as well at short extra and mid-wicket as well. And actually that second slip, Tom Clark is moving out into mid-wicket and they're dropping back kind of 3/4 of the way again at deep square. So perhaps a few short balls will be thrown into the mix now. That's full and straight and uppish towards Clark, but it evades him in the end. They're going to come back for 2 here. Potts gets off the mark there, but almost falls in pretty similar fashion, offering a less simple catch to Clark that time, away to his right. And again, we're seeing a change in field here. A couple catches in the mid-wicket region as well. Surely got to be very straight here from Sandhu. Either shorter or full to get the catches in mid-wicket in. There's one outside off though. And Potts defends sensibly. Can really hear the wind going on the effects mic. Straight again, attacking the stumps from Sandhu. The penultimate delivery of his 22nd over of the innings. But Potts is up to match it. But interesting to see if Delle looks to try and push on now and up the scoring with his partners dwindling at the other ends. That one struck on the pads, could be tight.
I think 2 noises, judging from how Potts is reacting. A very good over for Sandhu, 319 for 8. Just having a quick, I'm just doing some quick maths. Currently 70 for 3 this session off 22 overs there or thereabouts. And during the lunch break, we're going to be showing an episode of our Women's Cricket Network webinar series with Paula Radcliffe and Marcus North. They were talking about matchday reflections and confidence building. So tune in during the lunch break for that 40-minute episode. I don't think Delle will look to go while Potts is still there. You know, as we mentioned, he's a more than capable bat. Also, just from a bit of common sense, as that's pulled along the carpet for 1. It's almost for Durham now, just really trying to make Sussex work as hard as they can for these last 2 wickets. And the other thing, you don't want to give Sussex a wicket in these next 5 overs and 5 balls to give them max bowling bonus points. You want to frustrate them for that period. As one former England Test bowler is going to bowl to a current England Test squad bowler in Robinson to Potts. And Ollie Robinson immediately dismisses him. Really nice ball outside the off stump. Matthew Potts offering a forward defence, just taking the faintest of nicks through to Simpson with a regulation catch. Sussex do pick up maximum bowling bonus points and looking like they're going to take a first innings lead here at the Banks Homes Riverside.
Yeah, you'd assume that the leader will look to try and progress the scoring if offered the opportunity now. Connors has still got 4 deliveries in the over that he'll have to survive. But these first 4 wickets of the day have fallen pretty cheaply so far.
Yeah, it'll be frustrating for Durham in that sense in terms of not being able to add a lot of runs, but the game has moved forward. You know, now Sussex do have the opportunity to try and set something up if they want to. You know, obviously won't be easy with how this pitch is playing. You know, there is still something in it for bowlers, and that will, you know, certainly appease Potts and Rain in particular, who will take that new Kookaburra ball. So if Sussex do want to try and set something up, you know, they'll still have ambitions of finishing in the top 2. You know, there will be opportunities for them to do so. So you can look at it from the negative of, yeah, Durham do look as if they will be behind on first innings, but also look at it from the other perspective of the game's move forward, which is kind of what it needed, really. You know, yesterday, as Victor Demain kind of said, it's a bit of a turgid watch. Game wasn't really developing, wasn't going anywhere. It has moved on this morning, and so it should set up a pretty interesting end to days 3 and 4. It's Connor's first ball on debut with the bat. Oh, Jofra Archer, stop it. He's got it all. Brings out a few keepy uppies as well. Just in front of us in the commentary box. These last 20 minutes before lunch. Sussex want this wrapped up quickly.
And just a reminder, you can follow Durham across all of our social media channels: Facebook, X, Instagram, TikTok, and also to subscribe on YouTube and hit the like button on this live stream to get notified on all of the streams, and also player interviews and other videos across the season. And also across the off season as well. Bit of a shorter one that time from Robinson. Perhaps a fraction of pace has been lost with his long spells that have come throughout this morning session here at the Banks Home Riverside. Deficit 41 now for Durham. Not far away from parity, but it will be tricky to get there.
Sam Connors has his first runs with the bat for Durham. It will just be one, sort of, I guess maybe deliberate from Robinson to fire that one in a bit more on the leg side. 2 singles from it, but more importantly, the wicket of Matt Potts. 15 minutes for lunch here on day 3. As we mentioned, the game's moved on pretty quickly this morning.
Sandhu to continue. It will be interesting to see if Jofra is throwing the ball. Can't imagine it will be particularly imminently unless this partnership continues to build and frustrate Sussex. They'll probably want to try and save him and use him in the 4th innings to perhaps get Sussex that win. That was full and straight and defended from Connors out towards mid-on. Couple slips for Sandy. Just bringing in one of those sweepers on the leg side boundary. Yeah, that's Finn Hudson-Prentice just dropping in front of square. Catcher in there in mid-wicket as well. And again challenging Connor's defences. But he's up on his toes to defend that one. Robinson, Hughes and Sandy all having a little bit of a chat now. Just pushing. I think, yeah, Finn Hudson-Prentice coming in behind square to quite a wide leg gully. Oh, he's coming a little bit narrower, but still fairly wide. Sandy's probably going to target the pads. That's exactly what he does, and it's flicked nicely there from Connors. They get back for a couple. He's timed well, but not perfectly. Thoughts of 3, but they'll settle for the 2. A really nice shot there from Connors through the leg side. Sandu bowling to his field well. But they are just changing the field up a fraction. Hudson-Prentice onto the offside, swapping place with Jack Carson. And also Tom Clark moving into the mid-wicket region now, catching. That was short and pulled away nicely from Connors. Jofra Archer doesn't even move from backward point, and that's the boundary there with a glorious pull shot from Connors. His first boundary for Durham on debut up here in the northeast. Read that really early, did Connors. Onto the back foot and launches it over square leg for 4. And again, they're going to have to change the field here, Sussex. Dropping a couple catches out at backwards square leg and just in front of square leg as well. And this time Fuller challenging the top of off from Sandu, but Connors defends. One delivery left in this over. And that one could be a faint edge. It's given, yes. Short, dug into the pitch from Sandu. And a thin top edge from Connors. Flies through to John Simpson behind the stumps. Meaning Durham all out for 327. 106 overs on the dot they batted. They may call an early lunch as well. 5 wickets for the Aussie overseas as well. Gurinder Sandhu. 23 overs bowled, 4 maidens, 83 runs, and 5 wickets. He bowled very, very tidily, picking up 3 this morning, alongside a couple he picked up yesterday afternoon too. Sussex will be happy, taking a lead halfway into the game. About 34 even, sorry, the deficit. And Baz Delle left stranded, 31 not out.
It's not going to be lunch just yet. We are going to have 1 over before the lunch break, which I don't quite understand. Bonus points settled. Durham will take 5 and Sussex will take 6. Both teams maximum bowling bonus points, but Sussex pick up an extra batting 1. We'll take a quick break and we'll be with you for that 1 over before lunch. Well, welcome back. Rather bemusing to us here in the commentary and production rooms. We are going to have one over before lunch because the innings finished at 12:49 rather than 12:50. If it had been 30 seconds or so later, it probably would have been lunch. But as is the case in cricket with his rules, laws, whatever you want to call them, Sussex will have to face one over from most likely Ben Rain from the Lumley end before the players will walk straight back off in about 8 minutes' time to get a drink and their lunch. Heavy roller, I think, called for by John Simpson. You can see it making its way off. And yeah, Durham, what's it going to be, 2 slips or 3? Is Amelia Gay going to pack the cordon? Doesn't look like it. Looks like it's just going to be Drizelle and Ackerman in that cordon. Ben Rain will bowl it, and it will be Tom Haynes on strike.
Lead of 34 right now for Sussex. Not a huge lead. And we were chatting about it for a result to happen. It's going to take a little bit of magic with the Kookaburra ball not offering a huge amount. Can Ben Rain bring some magic here before lunch? 3 minutes to 1 o'clock. Taking his time here is Haynes. Couple catches in the slips. A short extra as well. As well as a pretty regulation 3 men on the leg side. Fencer that one. Does Haynes? Does it whistle past his outside edge? Nipping away a fraction. It's a good start here from the Durham seamer. That was just prodded into the offside. Rocking onto the front foot. Does Tom Haynes? Full and straight, and again, almost identical there. With Haynes onto the front foot to defend. Best part of 70 overs. Still to play today. Assuming we're not off for any more rain. Any rain, we've not gone off yet, but there have been a few little drizzles for a minute or two so far today. Can see a few angry clouds over to our right. But bright blue skies in front of us and to the left as well. That one's a big swipe there from Haynes. Doesn't connect though. He's looking to be positive. It's the former Sussex captain. And again targeting the stumps is Rain. Full and straight. Still without scoring. Sussex and Haynes. 1 ball to come before the lunch break here. left alone from Haynes. Sussex go to lunch without scoring and without loss. 34 ahead. A maiden for Ben Rain. And that's it. We'll be back in about 40 minutes time, just under, with Sussex resuming their innings. 0-0.
And a huge welcome, and thanks so much for joining us for our third webinar in our series. And an extra big thank you to all of you who came along yesterday to support the team at our historic first home game. An amazing day for the Durham women yesterday, and it was so special to meet so many of you from our Women's Cricket Network in person. A definite real buzz around the ground, and so good to see so many of the men's team there as well, with head coach Ryan Campbell supporting our women. Whether you're with us at the ground or watching on YouTube, we really do feel or hope that you felt part of something very, very special yesterday. For those who couldn't make it, don't worry, you won't have to wait very long at all, because our next home game is this Sunday against the Blaze, Nottinghamshire's team, at a 10:30 match start. And for those who did witness yesterday, obviously we know the team put in a fantastic performance for their first ever professional match. And yes, we came away with the win. A brilliant start to what's going to be a very exciting season ahead. Now, for those of you that are new to the Women's Cricket Network, a huge welcome. The network is very much all about connecting, supporting and celebrating everyone involved in the women's game, whether you're a player, a coach, parent, volunteer or a fan. Through the Women's Cricket Network, we're creating more opportunities, sharing stories, offering pathways into the game and making sure the women's and girls across the region feel part of something bigger. It's your space to grow, to connect and to get inspired, no matter where you are in your cricketing journey. We've got lots more exciting things to come as the season goes on, but tonight's webinar is no different. So settle in, get involved, and thank you very much for being part of this fantastic community. So tonight's theme, which will make sense when I introduce our guests to you, match day reflections, obviously, and confidence building in female athletes. I'm going to be chatting to our three guests about how they reflect on and analyse games and performances, both personally and within their teams. We're also going to explore how they like to give and receive feedback and take a closer look at something that many of us can relate to, the tendency for female athletes to be a little bit too quite self-critical. We're going to be asking about how mindset can impact performance and growth, and more importantly, how our guests work with athletes or how they were worked with themselves to build real lasting confidence, both on and off the field of play. So before we get into it, just a quick reminder, the Women's Cricket Network is very much here for all of us. We'd love you to get involved. Pop your questions in the Zoom chat as we go through the next half hour. And don't be shy about suggesting topics that you'd like us to cover in future webinars. So that is enough of listening to me waffle on. I'm going to now introduce our fantastic 3 guests here. And I've got to start with the boss. She's a Durham native. Danny Hazel has been at the forefront of women's cricket across the country and the world. She, as a player, was a 3-time Ashes winner and part of the World Cup winning team back in 2017. After retiring, her coaching career took off. She made a huge impact as head coach of Northern Diamonds and also led the Northern Superchargers to great success. I'm glad to say, though, she's back home now, leading our Durham women's team in their first professional season and helping us find the next generation of female cricketers in the North East. We're really lucky to have Danny with us so soon after that momentous game yesterday. I'm glad to see that you're wide awake, Danny. There wasn't big celebrations last night, but great to have you. Thank you so much for joining us. I'm also thrilled to welcome her boss, our Director of Cricket here at Durham, Marcus North. Marcus returned to the club in 2018, replacing the well-respected Jeff Cook in his role. He's a former player of our club. Marcus also took on the role at Durham Cricket, having been Chief Exec at North East Premier League club South Northumberland. Born in Australia, but we won't hold that against him. He appeared for his country in 21 tests and 2 one-day internationals, as well as captaining Western Australia in his career. I'm pleased to say that he's an adopted Geordie now, and he's joining us from Worcester. So we're all on tour now. And finally, I'm delighted to welcome a good friend of mine and a very special guest who's continuing to add accolades to her athletic CV. Paula Radcliffe is one of our greatest athletes and one of the greatest female marathoners of all time. A career which includes setting the women's marathon world record back in 2003 with a time of 2:15:25 that stood for 16 years. A 3-time winner of both London and New York marathons and world champion in the marathon in Helsinki. Most recently, though, which is why she might look jet lagged, but she doesn't. I look way more jet lagged than she does. She's just added Tokyo and Boston to her marathon majors list, so is now the proud owner of her 6-star medal in marathon majors. Paula's a commentator for the BBC, as she will be in London for the marathon this weekend, and continues to inspire future generations of athletes and runners. Wow, what a biog! What a start to our webinar tonight. So I'm just going to start. I mean, a huge welcome to all 3 of you. Thank you so much for your time this evening, but let's not hang around. Danny, I mean, I've got to start with you. Reflections on that incredible win yesterday.
What, you don't want to talk about my marathon running?
No, we'll get on to that. That will come.
Yeah, it was obviously it was a massive day for the club. From one of my coaching days where I probably felt the most nervous, to be honest. It was, it's Durham, as I've said all from the beginning, is home for me. So it kind of had that little bit extra edge on it. But yeah, it was a perfect day, barring a little bit more sunshine. It was a perfect day, really. The support that we had, and then the performance that the girls put out there was brilliant. And it was lovely to get off with a bonus point win, really.
Yeah, absolutely. And Marcus, I mean, yesterday was the culmination of such a busy year for you and the team, building a professional team from scratch. It must have been, I know it wasn't all about you, but it must have been a proud moment for all of you.
Yeah, I think for the whole club, such a historic moment. Like I said, there was a lot of hard work over the last 12 months, and that certainly wasn't just me. There was a lot of people that have invested so much into this process, and I guess I wasn't as nervous maybe as Danny or the players might have been yesterday. It was, we saw each other before the start of the play when we had the guard of honour and all the young kids around. It was just such a sense of pride that we came to that day of our first game. So there was a lot of build up, but it was a privilege and an excitement to go and watch them play and be able to take the field in their Durham kit, representing our great county. So, and to put such a dominant display on was so impressive. I was lucky enough to be in the changing room at the end of the day when Danny addressed the players, and she made a great point where there was so much, not distraction, but there was so much on that game. It was, there was speeches before the game with, the first 11 players to represent Durham. the hype, the media, the spectators. There was so much there to kind of add to their I guess, their nerves really for the game. And I think a lot of respect and kudos goes to Danny and the way she coaches, and her manner, and Holly as captain, that kept them quite balanced and relaxed. And I think that showed with the performance they put in, which was just topped off a brilliant day one for Durham women.
Yeah, didn't it just? And I think, Danny, performances like 17-year-old Grace Thompson taking that first wicket on a senior debut. I mean, that's what Durham's all about, isn't it?
Yeah, absolutely. And before the game, I said Grace will do something like that. And that's a real Grace thing to do. But all the girls really, they, like you say, they kept themselves externally calm, whether they were ticking inside a little bit more. But we tried to just keep things as similar as to what we normally do. And yeah, credit to them how they went out there and they performed how they did, really.
And speaking of firsts, Paula, just back to Boston, I mentioned that you just obviously finished your 6-star, which for anyone that doesn't know is the 6 marathon majors. I mean, not many people can say they've won a few of them and finished third in one as well. But for you, Boston was where it started, wasn't it, as well? 1992 was your first global title as an 18-year-old. What did that do for your performance and your confidence? Was it a case of I belong on this stage now?
It was that confirmation. It was significant for me because I'd finished 15th the year before, went out to Boston. It snowed the day before the race, 2 days before the race, which was great for me because I love racing on the snow. But I think what that victory did most was give me the confidence that I could make it as a full-time athlete moving forward. Bearing in mind I was just turned 18. I was doing my A-levels that summer, going away to university. So it basically cemented in my mind the belief that if I kept working hard through university, then I could have a chance to actually make a career out of what was essentially my hobby and what still remained my hobby all the way through. But it did give me that confidence to be able to kind of set those goals and move on from there.
And was that going through your head at all in that final marathon or road marathon that you've now declared is going to be your last, which it won't be?
Well, I basically just said I was done with the road because I was frustrated with being in better shape to run, and then my body letting me down a little bit in terms of just not being able to cope with the pounding on the road anymore. So yeah, a lot of things went through my head. I think for me, there was a nice symmetry in the fact that that's where it started. That now pretty much I worked out exactly, given that Isla is exactly born a month later than me, and this is a month later than the World Cross Country, it was pretty much exactly the same age. She's exactly the same age now that I was then.
And
so that made me feel a bit,
just for everyone.
Yeah, sorry, that's my daughter Isla. So that made me feel very old running around. But at the same time, it's weird because it doesn't feel like 33 years by any means. And I think for any young girl, young boy setting out on that journey, kind of that time can go really quickly. So you've kind of got to seize it and make the most of it, but also take the time to really appreciate it while you're in it.
Yeah. Well, listen, the firsts keep coming because you haven't seen this, but there we go. You were awarded first place in the vet 50 to 54 at Boston.
Oh my God.
Look at that. So yeah, you can put some tulips in it or whatever you do. I'll give you that one later. But look, when you all look back now, and you all understand the world of high performance, both when you were in it as players and performers, and now as coaches and administrators, could each of you find one or two things that were your superpower? Whether it be confidence, your competitiveness, your physiology, what is there like one thing? If I start with you, Danny, is there like one thing that was your superpower as a player?
I think that's probably competitiveness. I mean, I would openly say I probably wasn't the most skillful person in the world, skillful cricketer in the world, by far, but I probably had that little bit more competitive edge about me, and that's just probably from where how I was brought up, and the area that I was brought up in. And so yeah, I think it's just really, that's probably my super strength, going back to bit of grit, bit of northernness, and yeah, probably
And have you taken that
determination as well.
have you taken that into your coaching as well? Is that something that you try and impart onto the team, or is competitiveness something that is difficult to kind of teach?
Yeah, I think sometimes I've probably had to dampen, I don't know if it's right or wrong, but I've had to dampen that down slightly. But internally, like I would still be ticking quite hard in terms of being competitive. It's just, working in a team and working with people who, some people are very different to the way I operate, and the way I operate as a player. So it's just about making sure that I get that competitive edge across in the right way. Can come across as potentially being, quite aggressive and wanting to win, but equally some people would find that, quite daunting. So, and that's probably the biggest thing I've learned over the last 4 or 5 years. It's how you communicate with people, and how the different sorts of people can take things in different ways, really.
What about you, Marcus? What was your superpower?
I don't know about superpower. I kind of look at my career in 2 halves, where I was quite fortunate, where I was quite talented as a young kid. And, in terms of cricket, I was the one that always scored the runs, took the wickets. So I found my progression quite natural and quite easy, without sounding arrogant. I guess it wasn't until I got to about 19 or 20 where it kind of kicked in that talent and that natural talent was nowhere near enough. And I guess my desire to get the best out of myself every day, really took over. And I think if you're looking at what I learned through my professional career as an adult, that was the one thing that kind of defines high performance for me. Is just it doesn't matter if you're, an under 15-year-old girl, whether you're in a job as a 30-year-old. High performance is getting the best out of your day every single day. That's my interpretation of it. And it took me a little bit. It took me to 20 years old to realize that. And that was through having a conversation with a very well-respected, famous Australian cricketer, Justin Langer, who didn't have a lot of natural talent, but his work ethic was as high as I've ever seen anybody. And that was the quality that he kind of installed in me through just mentoring and having discussions. So, yeah, getting the most out of me in my adult years was something that enabled me to hopefully be the best I could.
Yeah, and I mean, competitiveness is probably up there in the top 3 if you were describing Paula Radcliffe. So, what would you say, Paula, looking back on your career and something that you...
I mean, I think both of those points raised from Danny and Marcus are really, really strong. I think I've naturally got a high pain threshold, which is also an advantage. It's certainly a little bit of a superpower, because it's always going to hurt at some point, particularly in events like the marathon, and you've got to be able to block that out and continue. I think loving what I do is really important. And I think also just genuinely wanting to find out how good you can be. So not setting limits that you're particularly aiming for. I would never set a time as a goal. I would set to run faster than a certain time, so that there was no finite limit being set on the performance. And then I think also just being a bit stubborn and a bit kind of bloody minded about, I'm going to keep trying a different way around if you don't get there the first time. And that's why I think that feeds into what Marcus is saying. If you don't get there the first time, most people don't. You've got to be prepared to keep changing it a little bit, trying a different way, working around different methods, working on your weaknesses, and just keep persevering until you actually get there.
Yeah, and actually that's probably relevant for what I wanted to move on to chat about, how particularly bringing it back to the games that you've got ahead, Danny. They're going to come thick and fast, both the men's and the women's. But what do you do as a coaching team, and in between, you're going to have 3-4 days between yesterday and the next game on Sunday, training wise? Is there much you can do physically, or are you working on skills? Are you working on coaching? Are you working on, attitudes and confidence?
So I suppose we probably work backwards from kind of 2 or 3 days out. So today was very much a rest and recovery day. Not just physically, but I think, mentally from yesterday, it was a really full on day for a lot of people. And then tomorrow we go back into training. Tomorrow will be very much kind of skill based, kind of learnings from the other day. bit of a reflection for individuals, get individual chats, and then one day out from the game, it's very much kind of not talking too technically. It's about making sure that they're more mentally ready to go into the game again the following day. Looking into the opposition, not massively. I think it's an awareness. Some people will delve into it more, some people won't. But I think we're trying to instill them kind of professional behaviours as well, like what is good for you, what is them 1%ers that can make you better. Like from the start, we said we do have generally a very young group. So a lot of it is still that learning curve. But I think, working back from game day, very much confidence build the day before. Day before that, it's skills, what we learned from the previous game, and then we get to game time. It's about trusting yourself and going for it.
And what about you, Paula? I mean, I know obviously once you moved to the marathon, it was less races in a year, maybe 2 major marathons a year, but like way back to when you were 17, 18 and you're on the track, and then a track season you might do, I don't know, 15, 20 races. I don't know what, I'm a sprinter, so I did more. But like, what was your kind of reflection straight off the back of a performance, either good or bad? Like if you had a bad performance, how did you pick yourself back up?
I think it's really important. I don't know whether that's something, to be honest, I can't identify when I picked up this. I probably picked it up a bit from my parents and from my coach, Alex, certainly, in terms of basically stems back to the old, you control what you can control and you don't worry about what you can't control. So out of something that's a little bit disappointing or hasn't worked out as planned, I would try and process those emotions, not carry them forward with me. So not like kind of shut them away and not deal with them. I would deal with them, let them out, angry, upset, whatever it was, and also learn what I could from it in terms of what went wrong, what can I improve next time, what can I do next time to make sure that doesn't happen, and then just try and move forward with those learnings. So kind of process it, get rid of what I didn't need and not have that dragging me down anymore, but move on with the learning so that I can be stronger and try and avoid the same mistakes being repeated, because bad luck's going to happen all the time in sport, but repeating the same mistakes is something that we can avoid.
Well, to be honest, Emily, that was your question pretty much answered there, because Emily was asking how do athletes put a poor performance behind them? And I think you eloquently put that. I've also got another one quickly for you, Paula, from Steph, who was a big fan. You've just run Boston Marathon. She's got the bruised calves to prove it. I can vouch for that. And the Durham women's team have just played their first historic game. And I guess you probably touched on this already as well, but how do you recover, refocus and go again for the next big event?
I think just keeping the eyes focused on the main point of your season, and kind of most of the events before that will be a stepping stone process to that one. So again, you want to see what's worked, what hasn't worked, and kind of learn from that and move on. But also I'd always be starting my season with the main points for that season. So it may not be the whole year, but that season, that would be the main goal. And everything else towards that would be a kind of learning process, checking where I was, seeing how things were going, and then modifying that or not modifying if things were going well, and just staying on that trajectory towards the main goal.
And I think I touched on this when we had the women's launch, it's so difficult to kind of think about Danny and the team that have a long season ahead of many, many games that are all very important. Whereas obviously, like you said, Paula, as an athlete, your focus might be whether it was a marathon major that year or a world champs or an Olympic games, and everything else has to build up into that one culmination of that one day. I guess there isn't a question there, though, is it? It's just very, very, it is very different. I think one thing that we've got from Rob, which is an interesting question, a slightly different tack. How can parents and partners support a player or an athlete lacking in confidence? Should this be left to coaches, or is there something that they can do? Danny, have you got any thoughts on that?
My first thought is make sure you charge your phone before you do this. I think when you're going home, I know my husband probably, 10 years of playing cricket, he probably heard everything that I went through and every emotion. And, it is hard to not take that home as well. But I think the support that you have at home is imperative to what you do. And as coaches, of course, we're there to support as much as we can. I think from my point of view, there's not, I feel like I've been through a lot of situations that many of these girls are maybe going to go through over the next kind of few years. And it's not to say, this is what I did, don't do it that way. But I think if you can help anybody kind of, in their decisions slightly, or just nudge them in the right direction, then as long as your decisions, and long as what you're saying always comes from a good place, then you're only trying to help them, right? Like, you're not trying to make anybody better. Like coaching, anything that you say, you're not trying to make anybody better. Like, you're trying to make them better every day. And it's their career. You're just there to support. And, you hope that whatever level they get to and as far as they get, that you played that little bit of a part. But it's their journey to go on, and we're just here to nudge them when we need to.
Yeah.
Alison, can I jump in there? Just, I've got an answer as a dad, right? So
I was going to ask both of you, Paul, as parents.
It's obviously I've got a daughter and son that both play, and I guess one of the things that I didn't do at the start, where I'd be the dad that would, you watch them play, or you get them in the car and straight away you kind of, oh, why'd you do that, or even like, you did really well. Actually save it, hold that in, and just make sure that car journey isn't always about critiquing their performance, good or bad. Put some music on, have a bit of fun, sing some songs. You want that to be, you want kids, it's a time of their life. They want to be enjoying their sport, having a great time. And for me, my biggest learning was just let them have their journey home. If your son or daughter hasn't done that well, they know they've had a bit of a bummer game, or they haven't made runs, or haven't got wickets. And the last thing they want is dad or mum kind of questioning them about it. And there's a time for it. It might be the next day where you go, give them time to reflect and say, oh, how do you think you went yesterday? And they figure it out for themselves. And I think, certainly from my lived experiences, that's probably been a better way of doing it with my kids. But yeah, that's just, I just thought I'd throw that in there.
Yeah, no, spot on. And actually, Paula, if you're happy to share, Boston was great, wasn't it? Because you had both Isla and Raf last minute decide to do the 5K, and I get to see competitive mom then, and it's fun. But everything Marcus has just said, I think it's reflected in you, isn't it? Enjoyment. You just want your kids to be enjoying it.
Yeah. I mean, particularly something that has brought me so much and that I've loved doing. It's an experience that I want their experience of that to be as great as mine was, and I want them to love it. And I also, to Marcus's point, recognise that most kids are very different. There's not a one size fits all way that you deal with them. Some of them might want to talk about it straight away, some of them don't. And my two are extremely different. One wants to take a lot of advice and to chat about things a lot. The other one just wants to do it on her own and absolutely do everything by herself. And she'll have to come to me to ask for anything. So it's kind of balancing that. But you're absolutely right. The takeaway from Boston for me was just seeing my son in his first experience really of a mass road race like that, just grinning from ear to ear from start to finish the whole way around. And I'm sure he still had more left in the tank afterwards. But that's something that he has to realise himself. He has to say, you know what, I actually did feel like I could have run a bit faster at the end of that. And he's got a lot of time to grow from there. And I remember my coach saying to me all the way through the juniors, he used to say, I don't want the best junior. I want the best senior in the future. So I want there always to be somewhere else to go. I don't want you to be at the top of your capacities as a junior, as an under 17, as an under 15. I want you to keep developing and keep growing with that. And the best years come in the years that count the most.
Yeah, and I think that was my takeaway yesterday, Danny, watching the girls, seeing all the social stuff afterwards. That, like, I don't think there was, and yes, there were smiles at the end, but they literally were smiling from the moment they went through that guard of honor. Like, yes, game face was on, but even just, and one of the best quotes I was reading in one of the reports was about how well drilled Durham look, which is obviously credit to you in the coaching staff. But I think that must have just given you so much pride in how much the girls loved it yesterday.
Yeah, and that, you know, that's probably one of the strengths of the group. They're all very good mates, and you know they've been together through all this, and that's just them naturally. That wasn't a show. That was, you know, they're a really good group of people, but equally have a very competitive edge to them. Right? They absolutely were, you know, fully wanted to win that game, and it was, you know, that was the main focus. But I think, yeah, it's to play the game with a smile on your face. That's all you can ask of people. You can't, you know, you'll win some, you'll lose some. But I think if we keep coming back to why do we actually play the sport? Why do we do this? We do it because we enjoy it. There's tough days, there's really good days, and there's really bad days, and there's ones in the middle. But we come back to, we enjoy it. And then, you know, you'll turn around in however many years it might be, and you're retired, and you think, wow, you know, it wasn't all that bad while you're out there playing cricket. So yeah, it's how we can keep them smiles on their faces as long as we can.
I've got another quick question just before we start to wrap up from Elizabeth. Was the Bladen races sung yesterday? Now, for any of you listening, Paula, that includes you, the tradition of the men's team is to bang the hell out of their bats in the changing room afterwards if they win, singing the Bladen race. So over to you, Danny.
No, but they've took their own stance on this now.
Okay, cool. So there is a song.
What are they? Is it called? Is it the Pink Panther thing? The Durham? I'm not going to go through it all for you. But yeah, but Durham, that's the one.
Whoa. So is that
if I'm being honest, it took me by surprise as well, but I loved it. So I just roll with it. And if that's what they want to do, yeah, that's what we're going to do.
I love it. The Pink Panther will be the next mascot that we have, maybe. I don't know about that. But anyway, just throwing it out there. Oh, that's great. Well, there you go. We're leaving with a little nugget. I did shout as the girls were going out. I did wish Claudia Winkleman good luck, but Emma Marlowe was so focused. She did not even laugh. So, Paula, just for your reference, when the girls went out to Zimbabwe, they all played traitors. And Emma Marlowe, one of the girls, is apparently a mean Claudia Winkleman. So she has the wig and everything. But yeah, she certainly wasn't a traitor for Durham yesterday. But listen, sadly, we are well out of time. I know that we do have a couple more questions. Actually, very quickly, I'll ask this one. Both Marcus and Danny, one of you could answer. What impact, from Richard, what impact do overseas pros like Susie Bates have? When you look at what Susie's innings was like yesterday, was it 93 runs she got on the board for us? So what impact have the international pros had?
Go on, Gaffy, you signed up.
There's many reasons why you're recruiting overseas play. Obviously, performance and bringing performance is obviously key, and Susie did that unbelievably well yesterday. But someone like Susie, who's, you know, got 20 years experience of international cricket, just recently won a World Cup. It's all the stuff behind the scenes which is going to add tremendous value to our squad, to our development of our players and our team. She's not here just to make runs and to go home. She's here to leave her own legacy within the group. To make a huge difference and impact within our environment. And she's done that within a very short space of time, just in her natural character. Danny mentioned earlier, the squad is just full of great people, great humans, and that's something that Danny and I were very conscious of when recruiting and building our squad. And it's very evident when you look at the environment, you walk into that changing room. Alison, you've experienced it mingling with the players. They're just great people, and someone like Susie is someone that's adding to the environment, who's another great human. And that's so important. And you get that right, that fundamentally has the greatest impact, and we expect her to do well. She's not going to make runs every time, but she certainly made an impact first game and set her own bar very high.
Yeah, absolutely. Hey, look, we'll take 93 every time if she's going to do that. But I don't know if it was you or Ryan had said to me she's a South Islander, so the weather won't phase her at all. It's pretty much like New Zealand, South Island, in the northeast. Well, listen, sadly, we are out of time. I'm so conscious that Paula needs to be on 5 Live in about 3 minutes talking about the London Marathon preview show. So tune in off the back of this. There is just a minute just to say, if any of our audience do want to pop any suggestions for future topics of the webinar into the Zoom chat, and for any questions that we didn't get to, we will try and answer on social and share through the Women's Cricket Network portal. Please don't forget our next Durham women's game this Sunday, the Blaze. No better way to round off your weekend. I would suggest pop London Marathon on the iPlayer on your phone, watch, or put it in the ears, because I'm on 5 Live, Paula's on telly, and then you've got the cricket in front of you. What better Sunday? And then the first T20 Blast home game is June the 1st. A recording of tonight's webinar will be available on the Durham Cricket YouTube channel. The link will be emailed to you this evening. And our next webinar will be May the 27th with special guests to be announced. Guys, thank you so much, Danny, Marcus and Paula, for all your insights and your contributions. As always, it's flown by. We haven't got a chance to chat to you half as much as I'd have liked, but a huge thank you. And to all the team behind the scenes at Durham Cricket pulling this together, a huge thanks to them as well. So have a lovely evening, everyone, and get yourselves on to 5 Live now and listen to Paula talk about who's going to win the Elite Women. It's not you, Danny, by the way. All right, and I look forward to seeing you both do London Marathon in the future.
Thank you. Thanks, everyone.
Thanks, guys.
Sussex resuming on 0-0 after we had that 1 over before lunch from Ben Rain from the Lumley end. I'd be very surprised if Matthew Potts isn't opening up from the Finkel end. And this will be the session that probably tells us where this game's going to end up. Sussex taking a lead of 34 on first innings after Durham moved the game on this morning. Sussex did bowl well, but wickets were more so from Durham looking to score, really try and tick this game on. Bonus points, as we mentioned, have been decided. Sussex 6, 3 batting, 3 bowling, and Durham just the 2 batting ones along with their maximum bowling ones. It will be Potts to start up after lunch. And Toby, this opening half an hour, 40 minutes or so is pivotal for both sides.
Absolutely. With the hard new Kookaburra from a bowling perspective, if you can get a 2, 3, 4 even wickets early on, it just makes your life so much easier to try and get the 10 wickets. We saw in the Kookaburra games here last year when Durham put on absolutely mammoth total, 580 almost with Beddingham scoring a double ton, that it can get flat pretty quickly.
Well left by Hughes after lunch. Just the two slips with Drizel and Ackerman. Got Baz Delle backward point, Graeme Clark with the floppy hat in the covers. Alex Lees, as always, setting himself in that mid-on, mid-off area. Ben Rain next to Matthew Potts there, almost joined at the hip, those two. Emilio Gay is patrolling mid-wicket. And the boundary riders, Sam Connors in front of the alphabet stand and Will Rhodes taking his place up towards Bannatynes. And Matthew Potts strikes! Second ball after lunch. Durham get that breakthrough they need. Matthew Potts getting the inside edge from Hughes, who made 60 in the first innings, nothing in the second. I think safe to say Matthew Potts has deserved that.
Yeah, absolutely huge, crucial wicket. We were just talking about how important these first half an hour or so, the first 10, 15 overs with this new ball can and will be. And Matt Potts' second ball dismisses the dangerous Hughes, the Aussie overseas, who made a really good 60 in the first innings. But he has to make his way back towards the pavilion. And Sussex's middle order already exposed. Just a couple deliveries into this second session here in Chesterley Street.
Yeah, obviously Durham will be looking to go bang bang and pick up at least one more relatively quickly after lunch. And Matthew Potts, I say that he's deserved that. He's bowled really nicely. Pretty much whenever he's pulled the whites on this year and doesn't quite have the wickets that he has deserved. His bowling as well. It's been relatively tight. So that'll be a nice boost for him. Spending some time away with England. Tom Clark taking his time after lunch to make his way out to the middle.
Yeah, I wouldn't be surprised if he was almost caught a little bit off guard with the wicket falling so soon after the break. But he's out there now, facing up against Potts.
Quite naturally, the voices from the Durham fielders will get a little bit louder. Not that Matthew Potts needs the extra encouragement. He doesn't know anything less than 100% effort, but he'll have a little bit more juice in his run-up, spring in his step as he approaches the crease.
Yeah. Brought in the field as well. Deep point has just come into where the ring would be.
Playing inside the line of that one. I don't want to alarm anyone, but the cloud away to our left-hand side is menacing. Very menacing. Probably the darkest it's ever been throughout 2.5 days we've had so far. It'll make it slightly favourable for bowling though. So Durham trying to make the most of that. First runs off the bat for Sussex. Be a couple out to Will Rhodes, who's sweeping. Me and Ash Thorpe were talking about on day one. He's definitely upset someone. He's definitely upset someone, or his chat is that bad that he's been demoted to boundary riding.
Could just be the fact he's the new man in.
You've
Start at the bottom.
You've got to earn your way in. Oh, shout for LBW. Think maybe high from Potts, but a very good start from the England international after the break. Striking straight away, getting rid of Daniel Hughes and wrapping the pads of Tom Clark.
Yeah, I think height was definitely the issue there. Just up on his toes was Clark, even though he was quite deep in the crease. It just hit the top of his pad, maybe even thigh pads. And we will see Ben Rain continue now after the lunch break, coming in from the Lumley ends. Connors out to the boundary at deep fine leg for the left-hander.
Wouldn't mind getting Emilio Gay in at third slip here. Don't want to allow any opportunities to go wasting. You've had that early breakthrough. If you can go bang bang, last thing you want is an edge travelling through third slip.
Round the wickets, Rain slightly uppish, but bounces just shy of Will Rhodes in there at backward point. I think he's now thanking the crowd and the other players, raising his hands in appreciation. I think perhaps he's just enjoying the fact he's back inside the ring. Onto the front foot is Haynes. Ben Rain challenging. Just targeting the stumps, targeting the front pad, as he often does. Durham going to have to be very much on it today. Created quite a few chances on day one, but didn't really take all of them. Rain in there and driven nicely down the ground. Hit well, teasing Matt Potts all the way there, but it beats him to the rope for the first boundary of the day for Sussex. They move on to 6 now. The glorious on drive there from Tom Haynes. Fraction too full from Rain, but will continue to pitch it up, try and get any movement that he can, and continue to challenge Sussex top order. Bit of width offered that time, and it's just cut straight out to Emilio Gay, at point, or cover point, just in front of square. Same as Will Rhodes and Sam Connors actually as well, has joined Durham. Well, Gay was actually at the back end of last season. The other two over the winter were announced. Fraction straighter that time from Rain, forcing Haynes to play around his front pads. But plays it well, plays it straight. Again there, angled in at the top of the off stump and defended to end the over. 4 runs from it with that gorgeous straight drive. And that leaves Sussex 6 for 1 with Matt Potts getting that crucial breakthrough last over. Second ball will continue to bowl here from the Finkel ends.
Yeah, unfortunately just suffering a few technical difficulties right now. No roaming camera or wide shot. Wind has picked up after lunch. We're just trying to sort that out and get it back up and running as soon as possible. Potts to continue. Fizzed in leg side. No danger.
Yeah, Clark looking to try and capitalise but unable to lay the bat on it. Flies through to Ollie Robinson behind the stumps. He continues to excel here since his move up north from Kent, I think it was a couple of years ago now.
Yeah, 3-year contract extension as well for Robinson. announced at the end of last season.
He's made a very good 141 against Notts earlier this year. A couple 50s as well against Hampshire and Somerset. Averaging just shy of 40 with the bat. Offers some very handy runs in the middle order.
Very nicely played off the back foot, and it will run for 4. Baz Delle and Sam Connors trying to pull it up inside the rope, but nice pace down there. Clark has his first boundary.
Yeah, time that nicely. Just let it run off the face of the bat. Fraction too short, fraction too wide from Matt Potts. And Clark just cashed in, piercing that gap between cover point and backward point.
Always travelling down leg side from Potts.
Almost pleading with that one there, wasn't he? Down on one knee, looking back to the umpire, begging for that finger to be raised and for his second wicket of the game to be put down alongside his name.
Yeah, I think potentially some light rain just falling as well.
It got very dark in the last minute or two. They've played through rain so far today a couple times though.
Yeah, Potts is in the middle of a good spell here. Really zipping through the crease. Trying to zip through Sussex's top order.
Yeah, we do know Potts can be devastating with the Kookaburra. When offered the opportunity, took a phenomenal 9 for here against Lancashire at the back end of last season with the Kookaburra.
He had no right to do so as well. With,
No, with
well,
the,
what
the
state,
state of it, yeah.
the state of the ball at the end of it was ridiculous, and we're looking to use that experience. No one just punched out to Connors in front of the Daffabet stand for 1. Haynes will keep the strike. 12 for 1. The visitors' lead is 46. So very much wickets, and early wickets are the name of the game for Durham. One of the umpires are going to have a light reading potentially at some point soon. It is very dark here at Chester Street.
Lights aren't out yet though. I think possibly having a look at the clouds and the possible rain or continuation of rain as rain continues with the ball round the wicket. Just patted back to him from Tom Haynes. There is some blue sky and some slightly lighter clouds over to our left here. Over the top of stands and over the top of the trees at the Lumley ends. A pretty strong cross breeze. George Dressel coming out of the slips now, just leaving Ackerman in there, but he's dropping in at silly mid-on there, just in front of Clark at the non-strikers ends. Rain just digs that one into the pitch, and then yet again a really good length. Possibly just using Dressel to try and play on the batter's mind. As much as anything, he can't be quite as free playing around his front pads for fear of finding a leading edge and offering a simple catch. He does in that time though, times it nicely in front of square. It will be picked up by Sam Connors. He jogs round from fine leg pick up a couple to Sussex. Only 4.5 overs old is the Kookaburra ball. But there's not been a huge amount of swing or seam to talk about so far. As explained by the field. That was punched off the back foot towards Gay, who fields nicely.
Really good time to have the ball in hand, even if it is a Kookaburra.
Yeah, this has got to be the time Durham look to try and rattle through Sussex. And again, Rain finding that line and length, that nagging line and length he's so known for. It's definitely starting to get a fraction lighter again now as the dark, heavy clouds are blown past the ground here. But there's still quite a few greying clouds to our left still. I wouldn't be surprised if there's a fair few blown over the ground today as rain comes over the wicket this time. Pushes it across Tom Haynes, who just defends out towards cover to end the over. 14 for 1, a couple runs off that Ben Rain over. But otherwise, not a huge amount for either side to really talk about.
Yeah, seen a couple of times over the first 2 days that bowlers staying over the wicket to right-handed batters getting that one to push across is a decent option, maybe trying to take the outside edge. Pot stays around the wicket and almost jags it through Clark's defence.
There are a fair few options here for Lees and Durham to decide between. Sam Connors we've talked about already. Baz Delle picked up 4 in the first innings. The spin of George Dressel as well.
Yeah, good luck taking the ball out of these two's hands for now, though, especially with these conditions as the lights come on. Good luck at trying to remove the ball from Rain and Potts for at least another 5 or so overs. Well, yes, the options are there. Alex Lees also knows that the game is also right here and now rather than those first bowling changes in the future.
Yeah, these are the 2 strike bowlers for Durham.
Can see what Potts is trying to do though. He's really focusing full and straight, trying to get that inside edge onto the stumps, or if he can get the tiniest bit of movement, pin one of these batters in front. He's got protection to do that with Will Rhodes out there at long leg.
The wind really being picked up on the effects mic. You can see the sheet across the stand directly behind Ollie Robinson as well. billowing away in the winds. Just showing how strong that cross breeze is.
Strong shot off the pads from Haynes. That is the only negative if Potts wants to keep going with this straight plan, that it will allow opportunities for Haynes and Clark, both left-handers, to just clip away nicely off the pads.
Yeah, just a fraction too straight that time. It is interesting, he does have a couple slips in as well, so perhaps he's going to throw in the odd wide one. They do drop out. Fielder down there to deep square leg. Emilio Gay. So he's got a little bit of protection on the leg side if he wants to continue bowling straight. Maybe dig in the odd short one. But also some catches on the offside too.
A bit of extra bounce out of the pitch. That one a productive over for Sussex, able to take 7 from it. 21 for 1 as Durham look to really try and run through their visitors here just after the interval.
Rain back around the wicket here. Just the one slip still. 4 on the offsides. That was short, dug in, and Clark considers trying to take on that short ball, but in the end sways and ducks out the way, dropping his hands. Probably sensibly so, with Sam Connors prowling out there on the deep square leg boundary. That's the inside edge. Going to run away towards the fine leg boundary, but Connors comes around to field. Couple runs more to Clark's tally. There haven't been many clear-cut chances for Durham so far, but a few oohs and ahs and a few not even half chances. But there is a little bit of excitement. Opportunities coming, perhaps. That's one there, nipped away, thin edge given. Ben Rain strikes, second wicket of the day for Durham. Tom Clark with the faintest of edges offers a simple catching opportunity for Ollie Robinson behind the stumps. We were just talking about the opportunities and how they will feel like there might be one coming. That's exactly what's happened. Ben Rain's first of the innings. With that thin edge there, his third of the game. Durham in a very good position right now, limiting Sussex to 23 for 2. Just a lead of 57. I think Durham will back themselves to chase probably in excess of 300 if they've got over a day. But that would require them to keep going this afternoon, probably having Sussex all out by the close to give themselves a long day tomorrow. James Coles, the Centurion from the first innings, coming out now to join Tom Haynes. Made a fabulous 148 not out on days 1 and the morning of day 2.
Yeah, really good ball from Rain. Saw that bouncer, which isn't, ironically, is not the worst delivery that Rain can bowl. It's, even though he's not that express pace, he almost surprises batters with it. Then had the one that took sort of a thickish inside edge and ran down to long leg and then gets one. Maybe just pulls the length back a little bit, but gets a bit of extra bounce, and Clark unable to get his bat out of the way. And Durham, well, they won't need any reminding, but they had chances to dismiss James Coles before he made that 148 not out. He's very well batted for his 5th first-class century. But Durham will be aware of the fact that they could have had him a lot sooner.
Rain in there. Straight away, back of the length. Forcing James Coles to play. Has had a pretty good season so far as Coles, with that 100, his first of the year. He's got a couple half centuries to his name as well. It's actually been the Sussex top order the most dangerous. So that one's cut away nicely there. Going to race away for 4 runs. Coles off the mark with a nice shot off the back foot. Yeah, it's been Sussex's top order really that's been the danger. Hughes has made a couple 50s, a lot of 40s as well. Tom Haynes, a couple tons, 450s as well. John Simpson though, their talismanic leader. That was defended. Has made 300s this season so far. Right up there. At the top of the run scoring charts. Number 3 at the moment, 715 to his name. Averaging almost 80. Matt Potts will continue here from the Finkel end. Couple slips. Will Rhodes, the lone boundary fielder on the leg sides. Sam Connors as well, out there on the deep point boundary, just in front of square.
Oh, Matthew Potts has his second of the afternoon, and Durham right now are putting the screws on Sussex. 27 for 3. Haynes has to go for 12. And after the opening 2 days where this pitch was a dream to bat on for players from both sides, suddenly this morning and into this afternoon it's become a bit of a minefield. Potts gets his second. Haynes gone. Durham in the driving seat.
Yeah, Potts immediately turning around, pointing at his skipper. Lee's there, so obviously some plan had come into fruition there. Dug a few in short, perhaps thinking Haynes could be susceptible to a few short deliveries, and in the end chops on. That's the second chop on we've seen today. And the short ball ploy has been the one to work. We saw, I think, 3 or 4 dismissals this morning for Durham from short deliveries. Graeme Clark was the first to go, caught behind with a feather of an edge, possibly a glove, looking to try and pull. George Dressel similarly was caught out in the deep, and Sam Connors, similar to Clark, a thin top edge through to the keeper. And Potts has made both Hughes and Haynes now chop on.
Yeah, Dan Ibrahim, the new batter at the crease, 2 right-handers for Sussex. Almost another breakthrough.
A slight leading edge there. Saves Ibrahim, would have been pretty plumb, you'd have thought.
If the bat's missing there, Matthew Potts is pulling out his Stuart Broad impression, and I think the umpire may have had to raise the finger.
He would have been wheeling away in celebration.
Two slips in play for Potts. Durham picking up 3 wickets in just under half an hour. Coming back from lunch on day 3. They really need to just keep going. The Sussex haven't exactly got away either. That lead just 61. Potts goes back of a length. Ibrahim fends into the leg side.
Yeah, right up on his toes there was Ibrahim. Could have maybe swayed out the way, but chose to ride it. Successfully so.
Yeah, not surprised after that Graeme Clark is calling for the short leg equipment. He is normally the man that goes under the lid if Durham do stick one in there. 2 strike bowlers just having a chat. To be honest, that chat could be about absolutely anything. It didn't. It probably is about the cricket, but it could be about absolutely anything those two are chatting about. As Luke Robinson is scampering around upstairs in the dressing room for short pad stuff, short leg stuff, pads and helmet. The last ball of Potts is over as he forced Tom Haynes to chop on. It's not been a good game for the Sussex opener, just 4 in the first innings before he chopped on to Ben Rain. Managed to triple his score this time, but falls in the same vein as Potts picks up 2. Currently has 2 for 14 from 3 overs and 5 balls.
Yeah, no pads for Clark. He's just happy with only a helmet.
No, he's a tough Cumbrian lad. He doesn't need pads. Oh, the plan was set, and Ibrahim, fortunately for him, turns it enough past square and not into Clark's waiting hands. But a successful over for Matthew Potts. He has 2. Durham have 3, and Sussex are in a touch of trouble here. They might have been thinking about setting this game up for a declaration of their own before lunch and over their break, but I think those thoughts are firmly away now.
Yeah, it's just got to be about batting time and getting to the end of the day as much as anything else for Sussex now. Durham, on the other hand, will be looking to try and pounce and make the most of the great start they've had today with the ball in hand. Ackerman, the only one in slips. Dressel coming across into catching mid-wicket alongside Clark. The 2 of them in there. Very short. Saw Sussex have a couple catch mid-wickets as well. As Rain challenges outside off first up. First result of the week. Let's just come in. Surrey win by 9 wickets at Worcester. They're looking to try and push for the title again this year. Inside half of the bat this time. Just angled back in. And ends up dribbling out towards those two catching mid-wickets, ready to pounce anything aerially towards them. Driven nicely by Ibrahim, but straight out to Matt Potts at mid-off. Bringing Will Rhodes a lot squarer now. Going back to slightly more regulation field. No, actually they're not. They're just bringing Dressel over to the offside catching. A short extra, and actually Emilio Gay is going in there instead of him as the second catching mid-wicket. Connor's just behind square now. And it will head out straight towards him. Sorry, I said Connors, Will Rhodes, that is.
Yeah, just giving Rain that extra protection in order to bowl very straight. Just watching that Haynes wicket back, I've got no idea what he's trying to do with that shot. The ball is not there to be pulled. He's trying to hoik it over to the leg side and maybe just put a bit of pressure on, but it's just not there to be hit and gets the under edge of the bat. A very tame and soft, especially when you've lost two quick ones early on in the session. Don't know what he was thinking.
Oh, it's past the outside edge from Rain. Tempting Coles onto the front foot, who just dangles a bat. And it's a lucky escape for the Centurion. He prods at the pitch, just pats it down. And again, we see a few more oohs and ahs.
Tell you what, Durham will be very happy if James Coles is walking back to the pavilion anytime soon.
This time challenging the stumps a bit more, challenging the front pads, of which Coles plays around to end the 9th over of the Sussex innings. 29 for 3. Ben Rain with 1 wicket, 13 runs. Matt Potts 2 wickets for 15. Still a few dark clouds floating around above us here at the Banks Home Riverside. A little bit of blue sky way out in front of us, with Potts in again now.
Yeah, Potts into his 5th. Rain has bowled 5. Probably looking at maybe one more each. So they take their overs to 6. Before you may be looking at a change, a double change for Delle and Connors. Don't think while it's like this, George Rozelle's going to get a look in anytime soon. Also, I do have Will Rhodes as that 5th seamer. Wasn't used in the first innings. Yeah. Matthew Potts trying rather audaciously to run Ibrahim out, but it's also just a gentle reminder not to come too far down the track to the England international. But yeah, definitely would expect to see some warming up from Delle and Connors soon.
I wouldn't be surprised if we see one of Rain or Potts perhaps putting in a long spell, maybe even 7 or 8.
It's normally Rain.
Even.
It's normally Rain who does that. With obviously, he's not as quick, therefore doesn't take maybe as much out of him. Whereas Potts is obviously probably in this lineup the quickest bowler for Durham. Looks like Emilio Gay is gonna jump over to the leg side, maybe a leg gully.
Yeah, I think so. They're just waving Connors in front of square, who is out there. Was it deep backward now? Just regulation deep square, just in front.
Yeah, Delle is also going to move a touch finer as well. Oh, Matthew Potts is getting this Kookaburra ball talking, and not for the first time. Some more grey clouds make their way over the Banks Home Riverside. I'm quite happy I'm here in the commentary box and not having to face these two from a batting perspective. Sussex really under the cosh, like Victor Demain said. Real good tussle developing on day 3. I think so far today it reads 107 for 8 in terms of overall scoring from the two sides. Slightly aerial from Ibrahim, and Potts able to take it on the bounce and his follow through. First maiden for him, 29 for 3.
Yeah, another really good over from Matt Potts. Rain will continue from the Lumley end. You'd have to think between the two of them, they're probably some of the best exponents of a new ball in the county game.
Yeah, take it back to the title winning season. I think both of them had above 55, and Rain even broke the 60 barrier in terms of total wickets. So very handy bowlers for Leeds to turn to.
Just dabbed into Gay there at catching mid wicket. Keep him in the game. Cole's not persuaded to try and put shots into the leg side away, seemingly, despite a couple catches in there. Again, challenging the inside half of Ian Cole's bat.
Yeah, it's what those 2 mid wickets indicate is that it's going to be very straight bowling from Rain. Obviously, Will Rhodes out on the boundary as well as sort of a long leg. I'm just looking to maybe force Coles into moving through the shot a bit earlier and just chipping one up. We saw Will Rhodes did off of that one as well.
Same ball again, same shot, same result. And another dot ball. We're back to a bit more darkness here. Banks Homes Riverside. The grey clouds return with only a little bit of blue away over to our right. Down shorter from Rain, dug into the pitch, and Coles ducks comfortably under that one. Probably a fraction too short to interest Coles. Just a reminder as well, you can follow Durham across all of our social media channels. Let's give us a little follow. Facebook, X, Instagram, TikTok, and of course YouTube where you're watching us. Hit subscribe, you can like the live stream, stay up to date with everything Durham. Sounds a bit shorter, a bit wider. Looks to try and cut that one away, does Coles, but just finds the tumbling Connors at backward point. Unable to increase Sussex's total. One ball remains in the 11th over here. The 10th since lunch. And Rain's 5th since the break as well. Dot ball to end the over, and a maiden. Another maiden for Ben Rain. He's bowled so tight, so miserly so far today. Run rate, economy rate, sorry, of just 2.2. Couple maidens. And of course that one wicket as well of dangerous Tom Clark. Caught behind. Feather of an edge.
The Scottish with Wi-Fi, so stream temporarily going to go down, but hopefully we'll have it back at the end of the over. Welcome back. Matthew Potts inducing the top edge from Dan Ibrahim, but runs safely away for Ibrahim's first boundary. There's a few buffering issues with the live stream, but hopefully they are all sorted and can get back to watching as normal. Didn't miss much or anything before that. Pull shot for 4. However, it was very unconvincing from Ibrahim. He's 6 off 19. Those are the only score